Hello, welcome to another episode of Xbox Infinite, episode number 55, exclusive. Sorry, I'm a little bit ADD this morning, so you guys are just going to have to bear with me. We've got another great show with some interesting topics, and the first topic is one that's very close to my heart. I just want to welcome our guest to the show before we get started. Mark, welcome back, or welcome to Xbox Infinite. Feels like I was just talking to you the other day. How you been? What have you been up to? What have you been playing? How's your week?
Week's going pretty good. Been playing a little bit of World of Warcraft, like I said, and it's been pretty interesting.
Mark, why don't you add me?
At me. Sorry. Moving on to another fight. We have 3 guests this week, so it's going to be a very interesting show. And 2 of these guests are from the Just Gaming podcast. Ian, the other half, and some might say the better half from Just Gaming podcast. Ian, how you doing? Mark's getting angry over there. I can feel it. How you doing? What have you been up to? What have you been playing?
I'm so happy you called it out like that because it is the truth and everybody knows it.
Yeah, he is awesome. Just ask him.
Thank you. At least I don't have to say it. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Yeah.
Have you
enjoying my day off? I've been playing a little bit of World of Warcraft with Mark as well. We wanted to give the new expansion a ride. So
all right, Demi's getting very excited up there.
I am. I'm very excited.
And our other fantastic fire guest, Drawn TJ, man. Welcome to the show. How you doing? What have you been up to? What have you been playing? How's the week been?
I've been doing pretty good. Thank you for having me on. It's nice to just have the day off and just play some games. I've been playing High on Life.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. DoomCutie, bring that excitement that you've got for World of Warcraft. How you doing? We know what you've been playing.
Hello.
But what have you been up to? How's your week been?
Oh, I've finished up with work. Yesterday was my first day of holidays. I was extremely hungover from my Christmas party. Let's go. I have been playing, obviously, World of Warcraft. Boys, we'll talk later. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Do some mythics.
Easy.
Oh, wow. But no, I've played High on Life. We're definitely going to be talking about that. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here for it.
Absolutely. JediKnightPeter. How you going? How's your week been? What have you been up to? What have you been playing? You played quite a few things, I think, this week.
Good, mate. Yeah, I am high on life. And I've been playing High on Life. And I've been playing COD, and I've been playing Halo, and I've been playing Vampire Survivors, and a whole heap of other stuff. But yeah, cannot wait to get into it. Awesome guests today. Mark, Ian, 1v1 me, bro. And TJ, long time coming, brother. So glad to have you on the show. We should have had you on a long time ago. Let's do this.
Absolutely. And Umbra, one of our favorite sons. How you doing?
Yes.
How's your week been?
Yes.
What have you been up to? Exclusive.
World premiere. Yeah, I'm good, man. It's good to be here with you all. I'm happy to have TJ and Mark and Ian with us today. Yeah, I've been on High on Life as well. We're going to talk about that, but I've been loving it. Right now I'm at an 8 out of 10 for it, personally. So I'm loving it. I've been playing a bunch of other games, but nothing really too much of note, I suppose. Let me see something. Give me 1 second. I'm on my Xbox. Yeah, so I got that Chained Echoes. I got to try that out soon and a few other games. And we were talking about that Bladed Fury earlier. So I'm going to jump on that. And I bought that Spyro Reignited trilogy since it's on sale. If you all don't have it, go for it. It's like $17 to get it.
There's actually some really good sales at the moment.
Yes.
They are. So check on Xbox and see about these sales. But High on Life, man, I'm liking it a lot, honestly. The controls do feel, it's like somebody described it as a 360 game with updated graphics, like modern graphics and visuals. And I think
it's
that kind
not a
of
54 game for you, mate? Really?
No, not at all. I think that's, the humor works for me. I think the media is a little too sensitive sometimes, personally. But yeah, we'll get into it soon.
Yeah, we absolutely definitely got to get into it. Before we do get into it, if you are new here, please hit the subscribe button. If you are not, please hit the like button. And guys in the chat, you're absolutely awesome supporting us every week. Really appreciate every single one of you. We do have super chats live, but if you want to ask a question, type question in front of your question. I just said question 3, 4 times. Yeah.
That's
Anyway,
not,
so if
not
you
as bad as you saying caveat, at least. So,
yeah, it's just a slight caveat. If you
Just a little caveat.
if you guys want to ask a question, you can type question. I understand it's a Christmas season, and not everyone is absolutely flush, and we appreciate any support. You guys just being here is absolutely amazing as we jump into the topics of the week. And this one is a bit of a hot topic. It is for me anyway, because I got a little bit pissed off, to be honest, about it. So the background of me kind of wanted to talk about this was I was checking out the Metascore, and don't get me wrong, I don't think the Metascores of a game really gives you a true indication of what a game is going to be like. However, I was checking out the Metascores for High on Life, and at the time, the Metascore for High on Life was 59. This is around about 4 days after its launch. That's on Xbox. The Metascore for PC was 72. The user score was 8.4 for Xbox, and the user score for PC was 8.3. The Xbox had 8 critic reviews. The PC had 9. I then thought, I wonder what Stray is sitting at. So I went and checked out Stray. Stray's sitting at 88 with an 8.5 Metascore. User score. And then I checked out the amount of reviews, and then pulling from my memory, I believe around about 4 days after launch, there was about 80-something reviews on that game. The reason why this pissed me off is because I really do think that that's a bit of a bias in the media. Now, I've heard all the arguments. I've heard all the back and forth. Believe me, because I made a post about it on Twitter. I firmly believe, and my point wasn't the score. The score wasn't what worried me. What worried me was the lack of reviews or the lack of care for the game. No one was reviewing it. There has been a few more reviews. I think it's up to 12 now, and the current Metascore for High on Life on Xbox is 61, with the PC sitting at, I believe, 67, with a 7.9 user score. The fact that it's just not been reviewed is where I see it being a bias. Now, some people have cited the fact that Stray probably sent out early review copies, and that's probably 110% true. And maybe High on Life didn't send out review copies. However, it had been on Game Pass for 4 days. If you're a review site, you've probably got access to Game Pass. And now I think if this was flipped and it was a PlayStation exclusive, it doesn't have to be first party, PlayStation exclusive, it would likely have been a lot more reviewed, touted, talked about. And I don't think this has it. And I really think that this is just purely because it's an Xbox game and it pisses me off. I think if just because you're an industry leader, you shouldn't get preferential treatment in the media. And from everything that I have seen, they really do. Umbra?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I had my mic muted, but I'm in 100% agreement, man. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, and I've said this before when it comes to those games. I played Stray. I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, but Stray is literally a walking cat simulator, and you don't do much in the way of actual game type stuff. And now that's not necessarily an indictment against it, because there are other games like that or worse than that, where it doesn't have a lot of gaming type of elements, right? Like Pentiment, for instance. Pentiment doesn't have a lot of gamey elements, but it is a great game. I think I gave Pentiment an 8, right, out of 10, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Great game, but for what it sets out to be. Now, Stray isn't bad. It's a good game. I think people should try it, but it was clearly overhyped. It clearly won, in my opinion, won an award it should not have won compared to the competition it was facing. And it's all, and a lot of that happens because they are tied to Sony in some way. Now that's a positive for those devs, good for them, right? But when we talk about fairness when it comes to this type of stuff, to me, there's a clear imbalance when it comes to this type of stuff, and it's annoying, honestly, because again, like you pointed out, Risk, if this game had been exclusive to PlayStation, I guarantee these scores would reflect that much more positively. I saw some had given it a 2 or a 4 or a 3 out of 10, and that's just ridiculous. And I think all of us can agree that even if you don't see the game at being at an 8 out of 10, a 2 and a 3 or a 4 is basically telling you or the audience that this game is broken, that this game is unplayable. All right, that's what that tells you. That's what it signifies.
Or
even
a bad game.
A different type of,
yeah.
Or flat out bad game. That's automatic, right? But that type of score insinuates that the game is broken. That's what twos are for. Twos is like a broken mess. You can't unplayable, things of that nature. This game is clearly playable. It doesn't have the most modern of controls. Like I said, it's like somebody pointed out, it's like a 360 game in design as far as combat, but modern game and visuals. I think that's fair. But it doesn't need all of that. I think it's charming in its own way, right? So that's fine. But that is ridiculous to give such a game like this that plays well. It's a lock 60 after that patch to give it a 2 or a 3 or 4 out of 10. It's just it's ridiculous. And I think outside of that, it's a larger bias I can point to concerning the media and Xbox, right? And the reviews being so little for it is one thing. But I mean, we got clear other biases because a lot of people sometimes when you bring it up, they try to write it off. It's just tinfoil hattery. It's just that you're an Xbox fanboy, so blah blah blah. They write it off. But we can point to clear indicators, right? Now, I talked to a few of my buddies in chats to refresh my memory because some of them I had forgotten over time. But do you all remember that the YouTube was running, and one of the IGN staffers had in the chat jumped in and forgot to switch accounts and was trolling Xbox? Do you all remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do remember it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's one. IGN.com itself had posted PlayStation 4 image of God of War, and then Xbox, which was a blank screen, and said, "Can you spot the difference?" Feeding into the console warring, right? Just to point that out. So because a lot of people seem to have this logic where, well, they're journalists or they're devs, that they can't be biased. You know what I mean? And that's just a lie. That's just untrue. For instance, too, when Gears of War Ultimate, and this was pointed out to me by Inferno. The other one was pointed out by my boy Doovie and J-Rock. So Inferno pointed out, they said and I know you all remember that too much water in Zelda score they gave, right? I'm sure most of you all remember that. Well, this one said too much A button for Gears of War Ultimate. Now, how stupid is that? Do you think they would have done that to PlayStation?
Mm-mm.
Highly doubtful.
Well, they don't say too much. They don't say too many QuickTime events, do they?
They don't. And now I'll go another step deeper. And I know I'm kind of going long-winded here, but another one, for instance, when they had the power narrative, you remember how many articles came up with them trashing Xbox during the Xbox One era? I know I'm not the only one that remembers that.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, even Destin got in on it. And I kind of got at him about that on Twitter one time, and he laughed it off. But he wasn't trying to be, cold-blooded.
I remember it.
But, yeah, he had this 720 thing with his arm was laid down and against the 900p or whatever, or something like that. And so it's just to say the media plays into that type of thing. For instance, now when remember Tech Radar, literally on the same site said the Xbox Series X cross-gen approach is robbing players of next-gen thrill. And then after Sony was, we believe in generations, the biggest PS5 games are set to come to PS4 and Sony U-turn. Notice how different the language is and how they approach and say what they say about Xbox versus Sony. I'll give you another last one. Remember, and I know everybody remembers this, and I still got love for him because I've been following the man since Xbox OXM. But Ryan McCaffrey, when he trashed Xbox for getting exclusivity for Tomb Raider, yet praised Sony for Final Fantasy VII exclusivity. Does anyone remember that?
Yep.
Now, he still gets flack for that now, and he had to block a ton of people back then. I remember that. So I'm just saying all this to say there's clear media bias, and it plays into reviewers too when it comes to these types of things. And I'm tired of that.
Yeah, I think that Xbox really, it's gotten a fairer shake than it's ever had, I think, this generation. But it's definitely still a present thing that's happening now. Mark, I'd be interested to get your opinion on whether you see media bias from a PC Master Race's point of view.
All right, I'm going to ask you a series of questions, sir. All right. All right. Who for the last two generations, including this current one, who's been the market leader?
Sony.
Sony has. Yeah. Well, yeah. You know what? You're right. But unless you're 8, you really don't give a shit. Now, so they're the market leader. Obviously, we keep calling them a media, they're literally video game fans. Okay. So they're going to, one, they're going to put out what they want to make money, period. Right.
Mhm.
So if the market leader is Sony, they're probably playing more Sony games. They may like Sony games more than they like Xbox games. But to me, when it all comes down to it, like when Umbra brought up Stray is an indie game that came out at the right time when there was nothing available, right? And it was pretty well marketed by Sony. So that's gonna generate hype even within media. People are human; they're gonna have their likes and their dislikes, right?
Mhm.
We talked about how Microsoft does a really piss poor job of any type of marketing, even for this game, other than the sizzle reel that it's going to be in Game Pass, and it comes out and it has some technical difficulties. Even on PC, it had some technical difficulties, so much so that I almost stopped playing it, but I continued to just kind of fight through it, tweak some settings and whatnot. It's not a bad game. It's not a bad game, but like when I discussed with you, Microsoft has so much more to prove that just because they come out with a game or the game's going to be on Game Pass, I don't even consider this to be an Xbox game, but that it comes out on Game Pass, that, like I said, they have to bring the heat. And I think critics are in the same boat as everybody else. If you're, like I said, if you're being honest about Microsoft in general, they're in the same boat of, hey, you really got to wow me to get what you're going to get. Do I think that there's bias? Yes, I think there's bias, but I don't think that, like, I don't think it's a controllable deal. I don't think it's nefarious. Like they're just out there to shit on Xbox, just to shit on them. They're out there to play to their audience of who they think, if the market leader, if there's more people playing this, more people's going to want to see this, right? So
yeah, look, I absolutely. I'm not. I don't think we're saying that. It's a. Well, in some cases, it has clearly been malicious and nefarious. I mean, pointing to that forgetting to switch YouTube accounts and then trolling Xbox.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically wearing your bias on your sleeve. We've seen. Take him. Take him's another offender. Who's that guy that basically just has a block button attached to his finger? Jason Schreier. Yeah.
But they make money feeding off console war. They just do.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, I don't diss or I don't even fucking care about Metacritic. I think it's about the dumbest shit ever, personally.
Mm-hmm. But when it feeds into reviews, I mean, you don't care about Metacritic, and I get that.
No.
But there are people who check that. I mean, I use it as a metric to, quite a few things. I mean, Colt Eastwood. I don't know if you guys know him, but he has a really good way of.
I'm just gonna name drop real quick. Here you go. Colt. You ever heard of that guy? Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, I don't know. He has a pretty good way of like judging if he's going to play a game. He checks out Metacritic, checks out OpenCritic. He checks out some reviews from people that he trusts, YouTubers. He doesn't use IGN sites or whatever. And then he'll ask some friends what they think if they're playing the game. I think that's a good overall. I think it's part of a tool set that you can use to judge whether a game is worth $70 because all games are now $70. Thanks, PlayStation. So I guess it's pretty good. It's a metric, a tool that you can use. I definitely understand what you're saying, and I do get it. But I think the bias feeds into the reviews, and I just don't. This game is not what's it sitting at now? It is not a 61. It's not a 61. Like it's not even close to a 61, man. It's at least a 70. I don't think the game, like they rated it correctly. You know what I'm saying? But like, do you remember when the 360 IGN shit all over PlayStation there for the longest time while 360 was winning? They'd always show the graphical differences of how much better the 360 runs games. Look at the Skyrim where the dragon's just like fucking nosedive and spinning in the ground. They just made sure that 360. And like I said, they're there to make money, and that's generally what's going to be. And I think that reviews should be unbiased, but I don't see how you could be a fan of a brand's games and not kind of look at everything with rose-colored glasses on. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you guys something. What's the name of that game on PlayStation that's now going to PC? It's a roguelike game. What's the name of that?
Returnal.
Returnal, if you all remember, was broken at the launch, and where people got locked out of playing the game, and the devs even told you flat out, don't play this game until we give you this patch. You all remember that?
People were losing their game saves because of it. Remember?
Absolutely.
I remember.
What score does Returnal have?
86.
Right. Do you see what I mean? How
Really?
biased to things? So
I agree. I agree with you that
out.
there's bias.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out that like you point out with High on Life, and I do get that it had to have this patch. To be fair, they got it out really quick. But
Yeah, they did.
I'm not saying but I'm just saying like there is clearly a difference when it comes to both platforms, because if this had been on PlayStation, even if it needed a patch, I still think the user reviews would be much more favorable.
Mm-hmm. No, look,
I mean, the user reviews are on 82 at the moment. The critic reviews on 67. In saying that, IGN actually gave it a pretty good score. I think they gave it 8 out of 10. So, but look, gaming is very subjective. But when you're in the industry of reviewing games, and I'd really like to get Doomy's opinion on this because she actually reviews games. I think that you need to take your subjective nature out of it. I think that, yes, you're going to like and dislike things, but you've got to look at overall things like art style, the comedic element, how it plays, how it runs into account. I don't think that they're really doing that. They're just hating on the game for hate's sake. I absolutely love this game. I think it's fantastic. But Jimmy, I'd love to get your opinion.
Oh, thanks, Pete. No, it's been really interesting hearing all of your guys' thoughts, and you know what? There's a lot of valuable stuff that you guys have said. So, thanks so much for sharing that. I will say, when you are reviewing a game, and especially one that is just very controversial, you need to go in with an open mind. The thing is, High on Life, even if it was just released on PS5, to me it wouldn't matter, because there's a lot of elements to this game that are very fun, a lot of thought and effort has been put into this, not only within the art style and the story, that like every joke is just hilarious, and it's just over the top fun, and it's a game that doesn't take itself too seriously. And I personally, I don't understand a rating of 2 out of 5 or whatever they've given it, because that's far too harsh if you ask me. And yeah, I've read a few of the reviews, and they're just like, a lot of the people are saying, I don't know if this game is actually funny. Like I can't tell. And it's like, what do you mean you can't tell? Like you are reviewing games. You know if something is funny or not. It's and you know what? It probably is the bias. They are a small company. They are, exclusive to Xbox. It's gone straight to Game Pass. And yeah, I think, some of you did touch on the fact that people want to make the most money. Sony makes them the most money. And it's very, very, very harsh, but I honestly, I've been enjoying it. It's a great game, and I think that everyone before they look at reviews, it's on Game Pass. You don't even have to pay for it. Like, it's not like you're spending $100 on this game. So yeah, I would definitely go out and have your own experience of this game before you take on some of these really harsh reviews, because number one, there's very few of them, and number two, they're incorrect. So
yeah, look,
what the great thing is, you can try it out on Game Pass for free.
Yeah,
well, that's right.
Exactly.
They're acting like this game costs $120.
That is exactly it, and I think that should be fed into the reviews. I don't know whether it's fair to do that or not, but I think I think the cost of a game should probably be taken into account when reviewing the game. If you get a game for free and it's a 7, I'd probably give it at least another 0.5 for being free. But however, I can completely understand.
Your first point, Riskit. Well, why aren't there more reviews of this game? I mean, it is on Game Pass. Everybody can review this game, and there's 8, 9, and I think that was your first point you made, mate.
No, well, actually, some people did get early copies. I'm not sure if they were allowed to review it early, because the people that I saw that got review copies were more influencers, not people that worked for media outlets. So I don't know if there was something in there that restricted them from saying their thoughts until the game was released, and maybe that's why. But yeah, I didn't get an early review copy, and no one that I know that does writing or reviewing got one either.
Yeah, well, look, I'm not sure as to whether it did or didn't get early review copies either. But look, that's one point. The other thing that I kind of wanted to throw, and I'm going to go to Ian on this one, is that whether or not there's a malicious bias or a conscious bias, there's definitely an unconscious bias. We have seen Sony blacklist sites because they have given unfavorable reviews. That has happened. That's factually been done. Stevivor, came out and said that they had been blacklisted and couldn't get review copies anymore because they gave an unfavorable review. Now, when that's there would be more going on behind the scenes that we don't know. And when that happens, and the rest of the media sees that, I mean, like you said, Mark, clicks are their bread and butter. This is money to them. So when you see that happens to another site, you then need to tread carefully when you're reviewing a game. That would feed into the bias as well. And obviously, this is not something that really anything can be done about, just something to be conscious of. But I think the only way forward with this is to level out the market. And I think this ABK, and we are going to talk a little tiny bit about that, not too much later on. I think this ABK deal would go some way to doing that. Ian, do you think that there is an unconscious bias just based on how Sony's behaved as the market leader within the gaming community?
So actually, I got a couple things to say. So, one, I cannot believe you guys are bringing up the words journalism and IGN in the same conversation.
I mean, I didn't.
Come on.
You're right, Ian.
I'm listening to this conversation. I'm like thinking about things that I would want to say, and I'm like, to be honest with you, I just don't take reviewers, at least from like IGN or PC Gamer or anybody like that, seriously, and I haven't for a long time. I mean, even when I had subscriptions to those, it was really only for like the articles about games that haven't come out yet. I do believe there's bias, but I believe that bias is kind of closely rooted in like bandwagoning more than anything else, right? Like everybody wants to cheer for the winning team, and right now, it's safe to say that Sony is winning games wise, right? I mean, there's bias everywhere. There's bias in this podcast, right? Everybody here loves Xbox. Everybody here hates on Sony. I'm not saying that you guys don't enjoy their games, because we're all gamers and we're all going to play everything. But at the end of the day, you're always going to fight for your home team. When it comes to these magazines, it's probably the same thing. You got a lot of these folks that probably grew up playing Sony games or playing on PlayStation, and they're taking that very same bias that they had as gamers, and they're bringing it right into their magazines, right?
Yeah, that's the job of the editor to stop that kind of stuff going too far. But I really do think it's gone too far.
I agree. But I mean, there's also still some room for argument on both sides of this discussion, because just before, with part of the conversation you guys were having regarding High on Life, you're talking about how a reviewer sits down and they play the game, like, how do they know it's not funny? Well, like, there are people that have no sense of humor, and there are people that don't necessarily have any sense of art, or maybe it could be the humor and art just isn't of their taste. So no matter what, even though we say that we need to be objective when we're looking at a game, you can't be objective when you're talking about art, or when you're talking about music, or when you're talking about comedy, right?
Yeah,
There's
but
no
in
way
saying
to.
that, in saying it, these places that want these clicks, they should be assigning someone to this game that is appropriate. If they want to actually be good at their job, that's what they should do. And that's where that bias comes in, because they don't care, and they're just there for the clicks. They're there to support Sony or bandwagoning or whatever.
Yeah, I think you might be right, Doomy. Like, Kotaku, it was basically gone out of business. I mean, they are there just for the clickbaiting nature of articles now. And I think that gaming media is in a really, really rough space at the moment. Everybody's going to, I personally go to ACG and Skill Up when I go for my reviews. I won't go to IGN anymore. And I think they're playing into that, and they're playing into that clickbait nature of gaming media at the moment, just to stay relevant, to stay alive. And so maybe it has more to do with that than actually writing a solid.
Some are worse than others. Some are worse than others, right? I'll just say that.
How
Yeah,
dare
and
you
I-
besmirch the name of Kotaku, by the way?
Yeah, that's exactly what I-
Wow.
Did you guys get the chance
Kotaku is a
to? Mark,
Yeah, they
what was that review that they wrote about?
Scorn needs more
Scorn?
dicks. Yeah.
What? That's what they said?
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
the title. I'll
They
send
said
it
there
to you
wasn't
later.
enough.
Title of
They
it.
said,
Whoa.
yeah,
Oh,
they said
wow.
there
Biggest
wasn't
clickbait
enough.
you'll ever see.
Yeah, they said there wasn't enough phallic art.
Oh, wow.
No, the
So,
title
anyway.
says not enough dicks.
So I agree with Doom saying, but the problem is that like when we're talking about like game, it's whether or not you view a video game as a product or a video game as a piece of art. Because if we're gonna say, well, we need to put, I would like to say that we put people in charge of reviewing games that are not biased by the console. They just want to look at the game and play it as is. But no matter what, you're not going to be able to get an objective review of a game because things like games in nature are not objective. It's how you interpret the art style. Do you actually enjoy it? Like the older Fallout games, like I like Fallout, but I actually don't really enjoy it that much because the art style bores me. Right?
Yeah, but in saying I agree with you in that sense, but at the same time, it just doesn't make sense. And like, yes, in a perfect world, we'd have, the most perfect unbiased robot person, who has no taste in anything, just like say this is good because of XYZ and it's bad because of XYZ with no bias outside of that. And I know that that's not possible, but quite frankly, besmirching not a game development team or whatever, just because a game doesn't, buy into your company alliances or whatever, like I just don't think that's fair. And I think it deserves to be called out. And another point I will say is that the fact is people should be taking all reviews, no matter how perfectly unbiased they are, with a grain of salt. You are you are your own person, you're your own self, you have your own tastes. You shouldn't be simply taking these reviews as gospel. They are simply a guide. Take them with a grain of salt, have your own personal experiences with games.
Yep.
Amen, sister.
Look, I wanted to go
man.
I wanted to go to John
Amen, sister.
TJ and just
You gotta
get
do it like you're in the country, man.
and just get your view on what if you think there is a media bias, and if you think it's unconscious, or do you think it's malicious, or what are your thoughts on the media bias within the community?
Yeah, Riskit. I think there is media bias if you think about it. I mean, for a long time, the narrative's been, Xbox bad, Sony good. And it doesn't matter what game comes in the Game Pass, everybody's going to look at it and say that's not the AAA game, or this is not. They're going to pick it apart. And you shouldn't be picking it apart. You should play the game as is. If you do have some bias, put that aside and just enjoy the game. And if you can't do that, even if you're a reviewer or a journalist in the media, then maybe you shouldn't be, because you're giving people bad advice and you're possibly turning people away from a good game, or you're either telling them to play a bad game, which is very, very bad to do as a journalist or as a reviewer. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be as fair as possible when it comes to reviewing a game of any kind, regardless of any console. For High on Life, I think it's an amazing game. It's pretty fun. I enjoy it. The comedy's good. The graphics are good. For the art style, it's really awesome. Gameplay is good. It's not broken. So I don't know why people are giving it low ratings. And maybe it's because there's not enough marketing for it. That's what I was going to say earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt. That's my point on it. That's my take.
Yeah, but marketing costs money. They probably just didn't have the money.
Well, Microsoft has plenty of it, and they're partnered with them.
Yeah.
So. And that goes to I think Mark or Ian, I forgot who said it, but you all were right. Part of that, and we've been complaining about this for days. You guys probably wouldn't know, but I had a space about this whole situation on the lack of marketing from Xbox, and I think this kind of plays into it too. Not to say that it should influence the score, because it shouldn't, because you should review a game just off its merits, but the marketing has not been good enough. I agree with that.
On the whole, yeah. On the whole, it hasn't been good. I mean, me and Mark talks about this on my new occasional podcast. If you guys want to check that out, it's in my live videos. Head there, check it out. It's called 1v1 Me. Shameless plug. Yeah, no, we talked about this earlier in the week. Like, the Xbox's marketing is abysmal. I don't know what's going on. It seems to be purposeful, as in it's not an accidental thing. I mean, I don't think you could just continually sit in radio silence and look. I hate to say it, fuck up this bad at the Game Awards, and then just continue with radio silence. And then drop a game and then not plug it. Like, it's just something very odd going on in the background. Mark, you were about to say before I jumped in. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I just wanted to refine my point. So all of these people who are in gaming journalism, and I'm using big fucking air quotes, okay? They like you're not going to go into something that you didn't grow up doing or something that you enjoy doing, right? Even when you select your the type of journalism, you're going to do something you're interested in. And I can guarantee you, the majority, all the way up to the editors, they played games growing up. They just did, and they're going to have their own biases. And I don't think there's any way to get around it. But the main reason that they will pick on one or the other is just for money. It's just for the clicks.
Do you think a dictatorship like way of operating as an editor or as someone who's running these magazines? So, for instance, you could threaten to line them up against a wall and shoot them if they were to give a review that was biased. Do you think that would work?
No, I'm pretty sure that their paycheck is worth way more than their integrity.
Yeah. But then again, there's some journalists that don't technically get paid to do this job.
No,
so
that's correct. That's exactly correct. Lots of games journalism is unpaid. Well, I know in Australia, a lot of it is unpaid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
where's the marketing for the old, like how the old Xbox used to be in the old Xbox original and Xbox 360 days? Because I miss that kind of marketing where they were actually going after Sony and they were actually doing a good job. I know, but I'm talking about on
isn't
TV.
as big anymore. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about like on
I don't
TV,
watch TV. I don't watch TV
because they have a game Xbox game ad where a guy is like starting out as a kid and then he slowly goes in the air until he gets into his grave.
Yeah,
it says buy an Xbox. It was like the most brutal one they had.
That was a great ad. They actually ended up banning this ad. But what I miss is in the marketing, and Sony still does this. I saw God of War slapped on the side of buses. I saw Returnal slapped on the side of buses. I saw that all throughout Australia. I have not seen I think the last game, and I was talking about this with Mark earlier in the week, the last game I saw slapped on the side of a bus was Gears of War. I think it was 3. I think that's the last time I saw any Xbox exclusive or game on the side of a bus, on a bus stop, on a billboard. Like, Sony does that fantastically, and they do it. And Mark pointed out earlier in the week that we're a smaller market, which is absolutely true. But PlayStation does that in their smaller markets. And I think it's why they get more of the mind share within those smaller markets. And that's where you really need to do it. Apparently, it does happen in America, but it doesn't really happen over here. It's a smaller market. And that's where you want to build momentum. These smaller markets help to bolster your larger markets. And you should really just be putting money into advertising. It's not like they're strapped and they've got a hole in their hip pocket, man. Like, this is one of the richest companies on the planet, the richest company on the planet. Like, yeah. I don't
for instance, I wanted to rewatch. Sorry, Umbra. I wanted to rewatch the Diablo 4 trailer. Okay, because I'm a big Diablo fan. Ian's a big Diablo fan, so I wanted to rewatch it to try to take in any kind of secret that I got. So I get on YouTube, type it in. Guess what? The first thing that comes up is PlayStation's YouTube channel. That's the first one that pops up with the name PS4, PS5. That is PlayStation's marketing being smarter than Microsoft and getting ahead of this potential deal going through. Do you see what I'm saying? They're making sure that Diablo is on PS4, PS5. So I mean that's where Microsoft fails. I mean, instantly that was the first one that came up.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I just wanted to say too, as far as what I missed on the marketing, you all remember the legendary Halo. What was the name of that one? Halo. That Halo 3 commercial.
The Halo 3 one.
Yeah, remember stuff like that. Remember Gears of War.
The one where.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the one where they walk in the desert?
Yeah, well, yeah, that one. No, the Gears of War was the first from the first game when they had the Mad World playing, and the Gears of Halo was the Believe trailer. That's what it was when he had it showed all the action figures, and it had Chief look up, even though he was an action figure with the sticky grenade in his hand, the plasma grenade.
Yeah.
Stuff like that is what I miss. You don't see that anymore from Xbox. You don't see it at all. The thing
Nope.
they focus on now is Game Pass, and that's fine because it is in itself kind of an exclusive to Xbox, right? Or at least a killer app, I suppose I should say. So I get it, but man, do I miss that type of stuff. And I think I don't think they're looking at the analytics correct. I think that hurts them.
Nah, you
more
guys
than
are
it helps
old.
them. Yeah. we are
Hey.
Like,
we are
look,
seasoned. We are
I would have
seasoned,
loved,
madam.
I would have loved to have seen some, I don't know, like a Forza advertisement on the side of a bus. How appropriate would that have been? You know, like a
Yeah.
live event, you know, with all of the amazing cars. Like, imagine how cool
Yeah.
that would be.
One of the most
But
amazing things I saw is walking down Melbourne City and seeing Halo 3 finish the fight plastered over a Melbourne tram. I just
Yeah.
thought the gaming got bigger than
I don't know,
you know, a
didn't
lot of
they-
things back then. It was amazing.
wasn't there that Halo?
They
No,
haven't
there was
been
something for Halo
pushing.
Infinite. No, there was something for Halo Infinite this year.
Yeah,
was
I'm
they
not
blew
it
sure.
all- they blew
not
all
that
the
I saw.
marketing.
Even Bathurst had an Xbox branded car in on the racing, a biggest racing event on our calendar one year, the year that Forza Motorsport 5, I believe, launched. So I don't see those things anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But,
You gotta
yeah,
remember,
Yeah.
you also got to remember all the marketing they used during what was it in 2021? They used it all for Halo Infinite. In 2020 they did it for the launch of the Xbox Series X because it was supposed to come out then. Remember, they blew their whole marketing budget
Talk about
for
for
that
Infinite.
for Halo
But that-
Infinite because
Yeah, I remember that. But that's
asked
one
where
game
is
to
it
be
this
fair.
year?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's one game to be fair. But what about other games? What about all the other games they brought out? Forza. I haven't seen anything for Forza.
Oh, I know. They need to show Forza. It's coming out next year. I mean, you gotta
And
show off Hellblade.
I know that sounded funny,
Hellblade's
but-
pretty far.
No, I was talking about Horizon, TJ. But I say that to say all those other games.
Oh.
What other games?
Hey, just to
they
just to
they
jump
haven't
in
had
on
that
this
many
real
for me
quick.
to say that. To be
Just
fair.
to jump in on this
Yeah.
super fast. When
Go ahead.
we're talking about marketing, a lot of people are always thinking about commercials and things like that, but it's just general optics more than anything else. And
Mhm.
lately, for the most part, the only thing that we've seen, and this is from every channel across the board, including this one and all the others, is ABK, the lawsuits and all this other stuff. So
That's true.
Xbox hasn't really done a really good job at making sure that their brand and the energy around it has been positive. Now I know Sony has their hand in that and all of the dealings that they've had, but one of the, like let's take a second to look at the Game Awards, right? Tell me who thought it was a good idea to have Phil Spencer in attendance up in the front seat as no Xbox games were being awarded with anything in that show. And then on
Facts.
top of that, you guys don't even drop a single like new trailer for any of the games that you have coming out to get people excited for. You have Phil Spencer sitting there watching Xbox get their ass handed to them all night long in his own house. That was at the Xbox Arena.
Yeah.
What-
Ian,
And
trust me.
Did they
I
ask to
went
take his wife out after or what?
Treat her to a nice dinner. Ian, we talked about that so passionately. Believe me, brother. I had a whole space. I had like 600 people almost. Well, I had 500, but 600 after the fact came through. Even ponies, by the way.
No
who
one's
joined in.
no one's counting.
Flex, mate. Flex.
Just want to say, soft flex, but just to say, man, we gave them shit for that. And you're right, bro. Like you cannot go to the biggest gaming event of the year and not show anything. It made no sense. And they showed a bunch of Game Pass adverts, and I get it. You got to sell
There
Game
was
Pass.
a caveat there of the year.
Caveat.
A
Yep.
caveat.
I was
I
listening for the
think the
caveat.
bold
Don't
stuff-
worry. Don't worry.
How many people watched it, Riskit? How many people watched it? Just to get that cleared up.
90 million.
I saw that. The 90 million, was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
you,
no, 88.
103.
Wow.
103 million.
it was 103, but you were still wrong. Yeah, I made that fairly clear.
103 million people tuned in to watch
Yeah, and
Xbox get bent over.
it was the biggest gaming event of the year, like 110%, and it may end up being the biggest gaming event in gaming, like consistently going forward. We don't really know yet, right? We haven't put Keely's now bolstered Game Awards up against E3 because E3 stepped out of the ring for 3 years, right? So Keely might have taken the mind share and it may become the biggest show of the year. Possibly, right? That may happen, and that's cool. But this is, regardless of what is and what isn't, doesn't matter. What matters is there was 103 million eyes on that show, and I at no point am I, look, people were taking me the wrong way and thinking I'm trying to damage control that Xbox didn't turn up. They should have been there. There's no doubt that they should have been there. They should have turned up. The fact that they didn't turn up was a massive misstep. It's not the worst thing they've done, was kind of my point. We have put up with worse, but what I think it's a culmination of all of the missteps that they have made. Then we've had a generation where they've generally been, aside from marketing, they've generally been quite good. They've been quite communicative. They had a pretty decent cadence of games in 2021. The games that they released were quality. Let's not talk about Halo's support, but when they released it, quality. They're having a pretty good generation up until 2022. Then in 2022, we got no games, right? We've just gone through a whole generation without games. Now we get the worst year that Xbox has ever had. And then to top it off, they don't turn up at the Game Awards. So I completely understand the backlash, and it's justified. I just don't think it's going to be a massive deal when they start dropping games in 2023. And when I say when, it has a caveat. It's more of an if. Because at this point, what they did with the Game Awards is made every Xbox fan, I don't care who you are or whether you're going to admit it loud and proud, it made us all a little fucking nervous, right? We're all like, why didn't you show anything? Does that mean you're delaying Starfield to the back end of the year? Does that mean that Redfall's not ready yet? Like, what the hell's going on with Age of Empires 4? Is that going to drop now? You didn't even show anything for that. Like, what's going on with Avowed? What's going on with Fable? What's going on with Forza? What the fuck is going on, Xbox? I completely understand, like, that sentiment.
It created more questions of worry than anything else. It didn't inspire. And that's the crazy part, Risk. You're right about that 100%. I didn't even think about it from that lens, but think about that. I just came at it from a perspective of you all didn't show people why they need to be joining in on Xbox like you did in the past. We saw the Series X shown there. It displayed confidence. It displayed when they had Hellblade 2 shown off her screaming. We were like, oh shit, Xbox is ready, right? That's the feeling we got from that. Everybody was hyped. Even Sony fans were like, oh, and that's why Xbox is doing so well right now. But to go there and show
that
nothing,
momentum build up, didn't
they?
They
did.
Umbra,
They sure did. But to go there now and do that, you're right, Risk. It leads to a lot of uncertainty where they should not have been displaying that going into the new year. Now, like, it's not to doom and gloom because we know 2023 is going to be a crazy year, and I mean for all platforms, but in particular if you're a Game Pass subscriber. But damn, man, to go there and not show anything, and you have both Phil and Sarah there, that is not a good look.
You know what? I know. Look, the absence was felt, and I said this last time as well. But I'm so hopeful for next year. I really am, and I know
am
that.
Too, Doomy.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fantastic year, and I bet that they have something brewing that they just can't say because of. There must be some reason why they have their hands tied, but I honestly am super psyched for next year. It's going to be amazing.
I mean, that goes to Riskit's main point, but I just
They
think
better
that
explain.
before the Christmas period and before the majority of consoles are put under Christmas trees, they needed to keep up that momentum, especially after such a poor showing this year.
But they're competing with games like God of War. You know, like
that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because they didn't really have anything to show before that. But the promise of the games to come are what got that momentum going. That as well as Game Pass is really what inspired confidence in the Xbox gaming community, as well as the power narrative that they had going. All of this stuff, and then just to drop off completely and have absolutely nothing there. It's just incredibly disappointing.
Yeah, look, and I'll just, I do want to move on from this topic and I want to move into some of the super chats and questions from the chat. But Sappho, look, yes, it's fine. It's not like Sony hasn't skipped shows before either. That's 110% true. But I know exactly what that grunt is. They can do that.
The grunt inside. I didn't say it out loud, but I felt it inside.
Yeah, they can
risk it.
They can do it. Sony can do it because they're the market leader, and it's not gonna hurt them because they have had cadence. So, and what about I'm not having a go at you, Sappho. I think you're amazing. But when you whataboutism, you're not holding Xbox to account. I got a lot of backlash for saying what I said. But for just saying I don't think it's as big a deal. I don't think it's as big a deal as everyone made out to. But I understand the reaction, and I also think it's justified. And I also, this is just my personal view, wasn't the same, but I also think that people need to hold Xbox to account. And it's something that in the Xbox community we're really good at. And I think this generation is starting to slip away from that, because I've seen a lot of Xbox guys behaving like Sony fanboys, and that's not good. That's not a good thing to do, because if you're not holding that company to account, they won't improve.
Yep.
And that's
100%.
That's
100%.
Can I say one thing?
Absolutely.
So if you think about it, like, we don't have no games this year, like big first party, right? And I'll make it really quick. I'm just saying we didn't have any this year, right? That dropped, that were huge first party games in Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
And then to not show up at the biggest like show, in my opinion, which is Game Awards, and everybody's giving them, smoke and fire. And I get it. They deserve it. They definitely deserve it, because, you don't show up to the biggest show. Come on, that's ridiculous. Now, as long as they bring out the games next year, then all is forgiven. But they need to actually bring them out, and they need to bring them out on time. Next year, you got to also keep the same energy. Remember, Sony's only got one confirmed game that's actually coming next year, and they don't even have a release date for it yet. So they're going to have a really dry season also.
Yeah. And this is my thing about this, though. When people go to and run to, well, what about Sony? You all have to stop doing that. The whole whataboutism of Sony, it's just tired at this point, honestly. Sony is the number one marketing leader right now. Sony is number one with Nintendo outselling both. There's no need to mention them as far as, but what about? They're fine. If they were in third place, then you'd have an argument, but they're not. Xbox is, so it does not behoove us to talk about the hooved ones. It only works when we're talking about benefiting Xbox to get us in the right position, right? And I say us because you see how I tie myself into it. That's how much I am entrenched into the Xbox ecosystem, because I take ownership of it to a degree. We all do, but you cannot let yourself be blinded by fealty to a console to not call them out. You have to say what it is. And right here, they made a misstep. It's not doom and gloom. It's not to say that they won't be fine. They will be, but it's still to say, hey, you made a mistake here. Let's get you right. Hopefully you don't make this mistake going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Xbox has been good at listening to the community when it comes to these things. So I hope you're right. I think Aaron Greenberg tweeted out after the show that they're going to be showing something pretty soon.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He said that
what
before.
That is alluding to. Yeah, look, and it could just be throwing off. But I think they do need to show something, even if it's just something small. They should have been better.
Yeah, I think at this point, games talk and bullshit walks with Xbox. But I do want to move on to the next topic, and I do want to move into some of the super chats and questions. But before I do, let's leave you with this on this subject, on this one fact that is an unequivocal business fact. This is how you succeed in business. If you are not the market leader, if you are not doing as well as your competitor, the only way to do better than your competitor is be better than your competitor. You will not defeat or gain more market share by being the same as your competitor. You need to be better. That's what brings people over. So Xbox needs to be better than PlayStation. So far this generation, I think they have in all but games, and that's their main business. If they can bring that in 2023 and they can pull their heads out of their asses and start marketing, then I think we'll see some of the market share moving over to Xbox like it has been. But we'll see what happens. So look, I'm going to move into some of these super chats and some of the questions from the chat there. Shooter with an Australian $10. He said he's got to say good morning to the beauty and the three wonderful beasts. Love you guys. I think he's calling me the beauty. Shooter again with a $5 super chat. He
Definitely me.
He said 1 beauty and 5 beasts. Now I know Ian and of course TJ. Mark, Ian, and of course TJ. I definitely know he's talking about me now. Thimba asked a question. He said, should reviewers be allowed to give 0 to games? That's my question, because it's exactly what happened to High on Life on Metacritic. Yes.
Wait. One of the reviewers gave it a 0?
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the actually accredited reviewers gave it a 0?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, see, that's bullshit right there.
Sounds fair to me.
That's crazy. I wasn't even aware
I
of
agree with
that.
Umbra. Yeah, that is bullshit.
Wait, like,
Wow.
how are they able to do that? Because I mean, on average, it's going to ruin a score no matter what.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
the
even-
lowest
even-
number,
even
and
if-
you just pick it.
Well, no,
That's
I mean,
crazy.
like, if it's a number, just pick it. Fuck you, Mark.
Moving on, Tevin with the $10 super chat. I'm not sure where it is from. Enjoying the discussion, and I hope everyone's having a good evening. Tevin, it's morning. Red Wolf, no, thank you very much for this. I think I gave you shit last time you super chatted too. So Tevin, I love you, man. It's just accidental. Red Wolf for the $2 super chat. He drops the Batman bundle code in the chat. It's a US code. If you guys did get that, let us know you got it. It's a bugbear of mine. I don't like it when people don't thank someone who supplied them with some gaming fun. So please do that. Red Wolf, thank you very much. You're an absolute champion. I appreciate that. Big Mad Mo, a longtime supporter of the channel. I have a question for y'all. What is a problem? Why is it a problem to wait for games? It's hurry up and show something. Since when is silence bad? We don't need to know everything.
He does
I
have
have an answer for that. Silence is only bad when you've had a bad track record, and Microsoft, unfortunately, has had a bad track record when it comes to releases. That's the only reason. Had they had a great cadence like PlayStation or like Nintendo, we wouldn't have this discussion. That's the only reason, because we have uncertainty. That's really it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. It created uncertainty within the community. When we know you have games coming, you've already told us, and we don't know. We don't know where. Like son of a bitch. We don't know where they are, when they're coming. It just literally threw me right off.
Read it. Read it.
I will read it. Bobby Hawk, I have a question. How many new games do you think would actually come out next year for Xbox minus Game Pass? And is anyone else excited for Wulong? No, Wulong was absolute trash. He deleted it. I didn't even get to copy it.
No, Shooter.
I'm slightly excited. I'm slightly excited for Wulong. I wasn't
how many games
overly
you
impressed.
Riskit?
I wasn't overly impressed by Wulong, but I am going to give it a chance once the full release hits.
I'd say that was accidental. Yeah, it was accidental. Dave, send it to me what you said in Discord, Mark, if you can. That would be awesome.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
somebody was
Risk
hitting.
it.
Yeah. Look,
how many games do you think we're gonna have next year? Just curious.
I think
From
Microsoft.
first party.
I think Microsoft would be stupid to release any more than 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
I say 4.
Yeah, you've got a lot of third parties coming. You don't want to cannibalize your partners. You got to remember, just because they don't drop in Game Pass, they do sell games. It's still the biggest part of their business. And if you start cannibalizing the year by just dropping 6 or 7, like some people are suggesting, you're hurting your partners. They're your partners. These are people that you make money off and that make money from you. And it would just be a terrible, terrible idea. By the way, this game I found that's playing on screen right now is called Doom to Hell. It's kind of an isometric semi-rogue light, and it's top-down shooter. It's awesome. I was having a great time with this game. So if you guys have not checked this game out, Doom to Hell, I think it's only like $7.45. It does have some easy achievements, but it's not an achievement game. It is good fun. Absolute good fun. I was loving it last night, playing it, talking with Umbra. But I'll move on to Mark's super chat, which I don't have. It says message deleted. What was the message, Mark? Shout out.
It's not as funny if you don't read it.
But you got to type it to me.
But I said, my wife said you have a sexy accent, but then I showed her your picture.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Right?
Mark.
And then she fainted.
I just wanted you to read it. It's not as funny if I tell you.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
Now you guys
Yeah.
get to see what I deal with on a daily basis.
No, you know what? You know, Riskit. You know, he's got a dad bod now. But you know what?
I got 2
And a
dad
face
bods.
of only a
Scissor,
mother club. Yes.
Scissor, you know, she got it right. Sometimes we just want a big boy. But in saying that, he has had his day of hotness.
That's right.
So yeah,
That's
I'm
right.
just gonna.
I mean, I wouldn't kick him out of bed for
Love
eating crackers, but you know what? I'm saying,
Listen,
just not
guys,
my wife's flavor.
we got to move on to the next subject. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. But guys in the chat,
Wait,
if you
Risk,
are...
I think there was one other question I think you might have missed.
Nope.
I think it was from Big Mad Mo. He said, let me see if I can find it really quick.
I don't think it was highlighted.
Yeah, you've got to type question. Guys in the chat, if you want me to read it out, it highlights it to me on the other end if you type question in your comment. Otherwise, I will miss it. I've got like 3 screens and a lot of shit going on in the background here. So yeah, you've got to type question and it'll highlight it.
Yeah, put question, guys. But I found it. He says, how long does it take? And it's a quick one. How long does it take to make a good game in your opinion? In panel, he says, me and myself in panel. How long do you think it takes to make a good game?
4 to 5 years, depending how big it is.
Yeah, look, I think it's 5 years.
Is it like from scratch? Like from scratch?
Yeah.
A non-sequel.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what you thinking of DLCs? You
It's
like
just
God
like
of
if
War?
it's like,
Let me stop.
well, no, like for example, like games, there aren't many like massive changes, like complete rebuilds on games like Forza and stuff like that. Yeah, Spider-Man, like series games. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah.
Not.
It all depends. But if we're talking about from scratch, and like TJ said, depending on the size of it, if we're talking about the average AAA nowadays, it seems to be about 4 or 5 years average.
Yeah, about 5 years. I think there have been a couple of games that have taken 7 years, and people said that that's too long for them. So yeah, I'd probably say 5.
Yeah, and some do take 7. It just happens. I mean, and some like Beyond Good and Evil, take 9 or 20. Yeah. Anyway, moving on to the Starfield update, which was really fucking weird. And so there was a lot in the Starfield update that was kind of cool. The really weird thing about this whole Starfield update is they didn't, again, it goes back to marketing. They didn't, it was unlisted. So if you don't know on YouTube, if you unlist a video, it doesn't recommend it to anyone. It'll just be sitting on the channel. It doesn't let people know that, it doesn't give them any notifications that you've released a video. You can still watch it, but you need to have the actual address of the video to go watch it. Luckily, Destin Legary shared this out, so I did go and check it out. But that's really, really weird, and I don't think it's a mistake. I mean, it's possible. People do make mistakes, but when it comes to marketing and YouTube videos for these big companies, it's highly professional. Like, it's done by professionals. It's not done by amateurs. So really interesting and weird that they decided to unlist that. What did come out of it was you can head back to what they call the old neighborhood, which is our own solar system. So Earth, you can go hang around the actual solar system that we come from, which is cool. I wonder what Earth will look like. I wonder what they'll do with that. That's pretty interesting. Sidonia on Mars will be part of a quest. Factions will react to your interactions. So they did say this earlier in the year. So it's not really new information. It said depending on who you join and how you react and act towards certain factions, they will react and act a certain way towards you, be it hostile, be it friendly. Really, really kind of interesting stuff, but they've kind of already covered that. And companions, the only other thing that came out of it was companions can speak for you. Now, look, I've been saying this for a long, long time. I probably won't put a lot of time into Starfield. I'll check it out. It's on Game Pass. But those type of games that Bethesda do are just a bit much for me. I don't have that kind of time on my hands. And I'm actually a little bit afraid that if I start playing it too hardcore, I'll end up stuck in it. I had like a whole 5 years of my life like devoted to Battlefield pretty much. So that's
the reason why you won't play WoW with me. I get it. It's okay.
No, it's that's because I don't like Lego graphics.
Scared of me? What?
But look, guys, it's just a little tiny topic. I found it kind of interesting and weird that they would unlist it. I don't know why the hell they would do that. I'm kind of racking my brain and trying to think of like, why would you do that?
I'm guessing some sort of I don't know, some information was in the video that wasn't allowed to be spoken about. I couldn't tell you what it is, but that could be a reason.
It's possible, but
too much.
You would think you would make it private so you couldn't see it then. So I kind of thought I've thought of like heaps of different reasons, but I just cannot racking my brain. Chat, guys in the chat, if you think that you have a good reason as to why they would unlist it, let me know, because I honestly cannot come up with a single reason that makes any sense to me. But guys on the panel and guests, do you guys have any reason why you think it's possible that they may have just unlisted this on purpose, and for what reason?
The only thing that I can think of is maybe they probably just did it. I know you say like it would have had to been on purpose, but there's a real good possibility that they unlisted it on accident.
Yeah,
I mean, I've done it myself before, where like they just weren't ready to post it yet. They probably went all the way through it, and then they were like going to schedule it for like maybe a premiere, and then they probably just hit list it, and then they're like, oh shit.
Yeah, but the only issue that I kind of that is with that would be if it's still unlisted.
Oh, it still is? Oh, that's then I have no idea.
You would think they would relist it.
And it's not unlisted. It's public now. Yeah, so it's a
oh, so you are wrong. Okay.
Probably should have checked that before the show. Anyway.
See? People make mistakes. Even the best of us.
It was a bit weird though. Like it went on for like I think it was 2 days. Like, and Destin was
48 hours is unlisted, mate. They could have done it a lot earlier than that.
Yeah, it's literally clicking a bloody a button.
You know what? It could have even been just like, you know, they have a schedule and, you know, for the most views and things like that, and they just like listed it at the wrong time on the wrong date. Like, you know, these things happen.
Yeah, it shouldn't happen.
Look, regardless, it was good to see something about Starfield. I don't know why they couldn't have dropped something on the show, you know, the Game Awards, but it was cool to see. I enjoyed what I saw. I really enjoyed what I heard about your companions. I really want to get to know more companions. We've only ever seen one, that robot. I can't remember what his name is. I think companions make Vesta games. So that would have been really cool. I think it's an interesting thing that they can talk for you and you don't actually know exactly what they're going to say, so they can actually get you into trouble depending on, you know, what they say. I think that's really cool. So I do want to see more.
Yeah. By the way, Hosey points out that you said schedule the schedule. Yeah, it does sound very elevated, and like he sounds so much more intelligent than what he is, doesn't it?
Schedule.
Yes, you have a schedule.
So much more intelligent.
We have
what, Umbra? What are you trying to say?
We have
Nice
a schedule.
I'm an educated
saying that he
woman.
made you sound more intelligent than you actually are. I think that's what he was alluding to.
Oh, it's
it was like schedule. I think they were talking about you, Pete. I think you said it. You said schedule.
No, it's because she has an accent.
Oh, TJ, you just took the sting out
what
of the
is
joke.
it?
Oh, God.
You definitely did.
Rubbing off on you? Or?
Wait,
Just
who's
made
rubbing
it
off
too
on me?
easy
What?
for her, TJ.
Oh my God. Moving
What?
on.
Yikers!
Moving on.
To the next
Just
topic.
to say though, I agree with Pete 100% on that. I'm going to no life that game when it comes out, guaranteed.
That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about it. It's going to be. It actually looks like
I hope
something.
they had co-op.
Yeah. I think. No, that's probably wrong. I don't think you can bump into people real life in the world. I think they kind of pointed out that it wouldn't be co-op. It wouldn't be a shared universe. It would just be your own type thing. It would be cool if they brought that in later, but it does look cool, man. And it's probably one of the Bethesda games that I played Fallout, wasn't really massively into it. Didn't even 4 wasn't really my thing, I'll be honest. But this one looks like it might be all right, and that's kind of what I'm worried about. I don't want to no life it. I haven't got time for that. But moving on to
Thank you, Daniel Vasquez. Thank you. I try.
He's talking about me. Moving on to the next topic. Microsoft offered, now I know we talked about TVC ad nauseum, and I'm going to do it again because this is actually something that came up after our podcast last week, and I literally can't believe it. Like, I think Sony's like fucking stupid. Like, I would pull this deal if this is what you're worried about. This is what kind of makes me believe that Sony actually doesn't give a shit about Call of Duty. It just needed to find a pressure point that they could use to try to delay the deal, and I think it's been successful. Microsoft offered
the deal flat out.
Yeah, they offered Call of Duty they offered PlayStation Call of Duty for 10 years. Microsoft did, and not only that, they offered it in the PS Plus, their subscription service. Now, neither the FTC nor PlayStation accepted the offer. In fact, the FTC didn't even let them sit down to discuss it. Now, to me, this just kind of sings out that it's got nothing to do with the merits of the deal. It's got nothing to do with the merits of what they're willing to offer. It's got everything to do for PlayStation with delaying this deal or blocking it as best they can. So they buy themselves time to bolster their subscription service because they're not that stupid as to know that that's the way things are going. They can see it. Also, I wasn't surprised by this. I know some people were and or angry. But I wasn't, and the reason is I wasn't is because I know what this it's obvious what this deal's about. It's what Microsoft wants is the storefront. They want to create a storefront. Now, Activision Blizzard did have a mobile storefront, and they were paid by Google to shut it down, reportedly $350 million. That storefront's likely still sitting around, has been coded, or at least begun, and wouldn't be too hard to get up and running, I imagine. That's speculation, that's not fact. I'm just speculating that that's the case. And also mobile is their focus. Like, they've been really vocal about it. Xbox has been hugely vocal about it. Cloud and mobile is their focus, and they want King. So they want that. They want to step into the market with a storefront. There is only two major storefronts. It's Apple and Google. You don't have any others. It's a duopoly, as they also have stated. And that's where they want to break in, because that's where they see the money. That is where the money is, and that is how you reach 3 billion gamers. And they've been pretty vocal about wanting to do that. So I wasn't surprised. I found it interesting. I thought it was pretty fucking stupid on PlayStation's part to just completely ignore that offer. So Mark, look, I'd be interested to kind of get your thoughts on what you think about this. We did touch on this the other day on 1v1 Me, but we really didn't dive deeply into it. So yeah, what do you think the PlayStation's trying to achieve here? And where do you think Microsoft's trying to go with this deal?
It's multifaceted, and you nailed it on the head. And Ian can speak to it more than I can on the mobile part of it. He's really done the research on that. But the mobile market is, I don't even know the percentage, but it's multiple times more gaming revenue than console and PC combined. It's ridiculous. So yes, they want King, but what Sony has done is really cuck Xbox. Xbox is going so far down to go, hey, we'll even put it on, PlayStation Plus. You know what I mean? Like they're having to make like huge concessions, which are completely fucking ridiculous to have to do to try to simmer down the PlayStation rhetoric to the FTC and the CMA. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. And like a lot of it is PlayStation staying in the news, throwing their weight around, pushing little Xbox around, like, whatever. But yes, you are correct. Microsoft is, I believe this whole deal is to get King and Blizzard mainly is what I think. I mean, don't get me wrong. Call of Duty brings in a lot of fucking money. And if you put Call of Duty on Game Pass, you're going to sell a lot of fucking Xboxes. You just are. So you're going to sell a lot of TVs that have Game Pass on them now, the Samsung TVs. I mean, it's a whole deal. So if you can sit down on your couch, play old Call of Duties, new Call of Duties on your TV, with just your $14.99 a month, wouldn't you do it? So yeah, that's how. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like I said, Ian can talk more about the mobile part of it. He really follows that.
Yeah, the mobile end is really what they're after, for sure. I mean, they're looking at games like Genshin Impact that earned like, oh Jesus, I don't have the number on me right at the moment, but billions of dollars within a year, right? Like, which, I mean, that could be a whole other conversation, because I don't know if you guys know this, but Xbox actually had passed on Genshin Impact when it came to their doorstep. Big mistake on their part. But yeah, the mobile end is a big deal. Whether or not they're going to be able to capture as much of that market as they think they will with King is neither here nor there, I think. Definitely the Blizzard side's a big deal. Sony's just trying to do anything they can to either get as much of a cut of it as possible, or delay it as long as they can until they can figure out some type of a better answer to it. I'm always on the side of kind of not. I'm not on the side of them picking up ABK. If I had the choice, these gaming companies wouldn't go under these consoles. They would stay by themselves. But we'll see what happens. I haven't really been super impressed with what Microsoft has done with a lot of these companies they've picked up, outside of, say, Obsidian and
we really haven't
the
seen
Coalition
about Obsidian really. But yeah, I agree. I agree. We need to see.
Like outside of Obsidian Coalition, they're the only ones that actually perform, at all.
Sad but true. Yeah, I'll say I do agree. I think Mark pointed it out. He said, like, actually, I think both of you said it, where you just kind of want this deal to be done. And for me, like I pointed out before, I've said it before, like if ABK had to be the thing that held them up, I would rather they had gone after another publisher before that, like Warner Brothers or something like that, Capcom, anything that would have got passed before this took place, because not only is it taking up all of the discussion of everything, which is cool, we're doing our content creator thing, whatever, but man, is it holding up everything else? It seems like. So yeah.
It doesn't bode well either that this is like their that it seems like a Hail Mary play. Like I love it. I love the ABK thing because I already have Game Pass, right? So for me, it's just like it's win-win. All the games I'm going to be playing or all the games I'm already playing, it's already available to me, and now it's going to be available to me for even cheaper. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. I think it's one of those things. It's going to go through. You're just going to have a lot of people showboating because it's Microsoft.
You say that it's going to go through, but there are no definites in life. There is no definite possibility this will go through. Yeah, there's no guarantees in life. Then the court process is fickle. We all know that, and it's dependent on the judge. I think it will go through as well. This was a big step in the wrong direction. I can't see how this deal was blocked by just not allowing Call of Duty to be on the platform. And we spoke about this last week. I think what they should have gone and done is they really have a unfair advantage when it comes to the infrastructure, when it comes to cloud gaming, and I think that would have been a better argument to make. In terms of offering Call of Duty to PlayStation Plus, we don't know the nuances of that deal, and so maybe it was a terrible deal. In saying that, I can't believe that they actually offered it to PlayStation Plus. I think that one of the benefits of Xbox does have is it's a massive advantage when it comes to day and date and get its Game Pass in general. I think it's golden goose. It's the best deal in gaming, so that was very shocking to me.
You did mention before, Ian, I just kind of want to go track back to what you said, where you're kind of against the deal going through. Gonna have to block and mute you now. Sorry, buddy. I know. Look, but look,
immediately ejected.
I think you have to really consider what happens now if it doesn't go through. And look, I'm not an expert. I'm not a stock market trader, but from everything that I've kind of looked at in the past, it doesn't bode well for ABK if this deal doesn't go through. Then they're already under a lot of scrutiny. Referencing obviously their harassment problems that they're having, the court cases they're going through with the state of California, unionizing, all this sort of stuff. And then if the deal doesn't go through, you can almost guarantee those stock prices are going to drop. Then they're going to have to start looking at, getting a new CEO. They'll basically, I believe, go into care and maintenance. And the likelihood is that they will be swooped in on by someone else. And that doesn't mean that, that they would sell the entire company or every IP. They could strip down that company and sell off parts of it just to basically recoup their costs to basically hold the business up. And that's not a good thing. That's still a consolidation. A splitting of a major company that produces some of the biggest games in gaming, some of the most quality games in gaming. You're talking about WoW, you're talking about Call of Duty, you're talking about Diablo, but there's so many games that they produce and IPs that they own that could be stripped down and sold. In the long run, it could end up being a good thing because we may get some of those IPs that we've been missing, like StarCraft and things like that. But I think we'll see those with the acquisition if it is to go through. I just don't think in the short term it would be a good result for this deal to get blocked.
I haven't seen anything that's shown us that they are financially struggling. Now I know that the stock prices will drop, if the deal gets withdrawn, because obviously everybody's buying in right now. Everybody's buying into the stock, not because they are optimistic about Blizzard's future. They're optimistic about making money off of the company getting purchased. However, Blizzard actually currently now is doing far better than they were during the time of the allegations. I mean, World of Warcraft Dragonflight has gone off with a major success. It's brought back a lot of players. I'm sure Doom will probably coin in on this as well. I'm somebody that hasn't played it in almost 12 years, and here I am back playing it. Diablo 4 has a ton of positivity and optimism around it. Overwatch 2 came out, and yeah, it had hitches at the beginning, but it's been overall an incredible success. Do we really have to talk about Modern Warfare 2 and the major success that it's had? This isn't a company that's financially fumbling, so I wouldn't see them breaking apart. I think this very much was just Microsoft throwing weight because they have the money to buy a company like this, because there ain't nobody out there that has the dough to roll on ABK other than maybe Tencent,
Amazon.
Yeah, and
maybe
to land on your point, because I didn't even think about it, because the main question was, why is Sony doing this, right? Why is Sony whatever?
Because they can't afford it.
No. Do you remember what happened to their stock value when the just was announced? Could you imagine if it goes through?
Yep.
It's gonna be. Like I said before, you're gonna see people flying out of buildings.
Involuntarily.
One of the things that came out with this acquisition is Sony is actually paying for Call of Duty not to be on Game Pass. I think that's what they're most scared of. I think, but it also came out that if every Call of Duty user went over to Microsoft, I think Sony would still be in the #1 position. I don't know if those numbers are right, but I think that's that's crazy.
Yeah, Microsoft did state that in their their press release. Yeah.
There's like two ways to look at it. You got to look at it like this, and I'll quote two people that actually had great opinions about this on other podcasts. King David said it's a poison pill either way you look at it for Sony, regardless. And people say, why would they offer it in PlayStation Plus? Now you're looking desperate, or you're looking so careless to offer something like that just to get the deal done. Either rest on your laurels and just let it do its thing and see if it goes through, or pull out, And King David said, no. It's a great poison pill, because look at it like this. Sony would have to fund technically Microsoft games by having people look at through their subscription. They'll see the Xbox logo. So basically it's free marketing technically. And then you're also getting funding because you're getting money from Sony to have it in PlayStation Plus. And then the other person and then the other person I want to quote is Crazy Louie. He said he thinks that if this deal falls through or they pull out or whatever, let's say Sony's very successful and they stop the deal. Okay. He says, if they do a fire sale, he said, I don't think they're going to do a fire sale. He said, if I'm Microsoft and I got that $70 billion or 67, because you got to pay $3 billion to Activision, go in and buy their stock, buy it all the way up and support them. And then sit there and say, hey, we're just going to fund you now. We don't really own you, but we own you through stocks. Like Tencent does.
I wouldn't waste money on. I don't think Microsoft will waste money on it.
That's what his take is. That's not my take. My take is
that I think they would go for other publishers.
I would go scorched earth. Honestly, if Sony puts a stop to this, I would be like, you know what? There's no hope of working out any deal with you anymore in the future. You really burnt that bridge. Now I'm just gonna partner with everybody. I'm gonna partner with Nintendo. I'm gonna make sure that you cannot do this ever again to any other corporation.
Yeah,
I'll say this just to add to that. The reason why they won't is because at the end of the day, money talks, right? So unfortunately, PlayStation has the biggest market. They can't. Unfortunately, they can't ignore them and just say we're not going to work with you. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. I want to highlight a question or a comment, better yet, by AJH, and I agree with this wholeheartedly. I actually pointed this out before. AJH says, where is it? He's AJ.
He is actually right. That's why you look for the comment. He is actually right. It is liquidation, not consolidation. But if you liquidate a company and you absorb them, they are consolidating all those IPs and studios into other companies. They're not going out on their own. So it is liquidation. Then what would follow is consolidation. Sorry, Umbra.
Yeah. No, it was about the plan all along. So AGH says, what if this was the plan all along? They know Sony will deny the offer. They just want to put that on the table for the court case. And honestly, I think that is the case because Sony doesn't want to pay that to have that on PS Plus.
Mhm.
That's too costly.
They want to paint them in a corner.
That's
They want
definitely
to paint
the
them in a
case.
corner.
That's definitely why they offered it to PlayStation Plus. In saying that, I still was shocked that the offer was made.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah. Well, look, I also want to add while we're in this, and it is a topic, but it's a topic that folds into what we're talking about here. Is Apple is preparing to allow other stores on its platform in the EU. The EU is they've basically taken Apple to court. And Apple now has to allow other stores on its. This is all based on the Apple v Epic court case, and the EU's taken that and ran with it. And it says the plans are reportedly being spurred on by the EU's Digital Markets Act (DMA), which meant it to enact rules for digital gatekeepers to ensure open markets. The restrictions become a requirement in 2024. So in 2024, Apple will be allowing other stores. Now, Microsoft knows this, and what would normally happen in a market like this is once it happens in one country, other countries will look at that as look, this can be done, and we can make this happen. There's a precedent for it, and so they will likely go after Apple. And instead of Apple trying to litigate these cases that they've already lost due to regulation in another country, they're very likely just to concede and allow other stores. Microsoft would be watching this very closely, and I think that this is part of their plan, and they've obviously been watching this as well. And I think it would fold very much into a lot of people have been saying that maybe Microsoft won't go against FTC, EU, and CMA if they were all to band together. Not so much band together, but all block the deal. It may become too costly, and I think that depends on what their end goal is and what the market looks like for them. I think it becomes worth it if they know they can get a storefront without much cost or any kind of litigation on, Apple, and then Google would likely be as well. Again, you would probably have to follow suit. So this is extremely nuanced, this entire deal, and it depends on a lot of different things. And the console space really isn't the main focus, except for Sony. Because they're a bunch of little bitch. No, they're all good. Sony's great. I love Sony. Look, has anyone got anything else to add on this topic? I know it's one that we've ad nauseum. I'm sure every single podcast has gone over this and over this and over this. And I do want to move on, but if you guys have got anything to add, now is the time.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Before I do move on, guys, hit the like button, share us out, let a friend know, tell your grandma, tell your little brother. That we go live at 7 p.m. EST on Fridays. And if you are new here, please subscribe. It really helps out the channel, guys. If you have a question, type question in your chat. Or if you want to support us, you can hit that super chat and drop a super chat in the super box with the questions and stuff. If you want to ask a question, make sure you type question in your in your comment, and it will highlight it to me. I will ask it. I definitely don't want anyone left out of the conversation. The Last of Us Part 3 is rumored to be in production at Naughty Dog. So look, at an insider who's pretty reliable called Viewer Anon has previously leaked a lot of accurate information. He leaked The Last of Us, the TV show on HBO. He also leaked Crash Bandicoot 4. He's now claiming that Naughty Dog's working on The Last of Us Part 3. Neil Druckmann at the helm. It is his baby. That arrogant son of a... He's no Todd Howard, Neil Druckmann. Look, this to me is quite exciting. I did like, for all of its faults, I liked Last of Us Part 2. And I think they're very unlikely to make the same mistakes with Part 3 as they are with Part 2. Look, I know this is an Xbox-centric podcast, but I play everything. And if it's good, I'm playing it. And I think Last of Us Part 3 was awesome. If you're on PC, unfortunately, you're going to have to wait 7 years because it's not coming day one. However, if you... Oh, that's not a dig. That was a dig. So I just wanted to get the panel's thoughts. If they... Look, here's a question. Here's a really good question because, Pete, I know you've been holding out for that game. We all know Last of Us Part 1, Part 2. Great games, fantastic games. I know that you like them. Is this the game that would bring you to a PlayStation 5 What do we have to do to get you over there? You know?
What they have to do is lower the price point. It's just too expensive for me to warrant it at the moment. That is, the one thing that's stopping me. I mean, it's $1,000 investment just to play one game, and I did it, and I was happy to do it for Bloodborne. I didn't want to miss a From Software game. In saying that, Demon Souls came out, so yeah. Look, I think I've just become a little bit more frugal, especially with Game Pass. I just have so much to play because of Game Pass. I don't know if I want another console. I truly don't. But I love how all these gaming IPs are being made into movies and TV shows. We got The Last of Us. We got The Ghost of Tsushima being made into a film. I'm really interested in seeing more on Twisted Metal because I love that franchise. I think there's a TV show being made about that. Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Gran Turismo, Fallout, Gears of War. There's so
Spoilers,
many being
Pete. Spoilers. That's our next topic.
And and just the other day, Henry Cavill said that he's going to be in charge of another Amazon show, Warhammer 40K. So I'm incredibly interested in seeing that.
That's gonna be
I love
good.
this. Yeah, I love gaming. I think that gaming IPs have been done a real disservice in the past when it comes to being made into movies and TV shows. I think Halo is a really good example of that. When you get TV people making gaming IPs, I think that there's a real big problem with that. One I am really looking forward to because is Borderlands. Because it's actually, the gaming people that are really in charge of that IP. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a wait and see on every different one. I still don't think The Last of Us 3 is being made as well. I know that there's a rumor going out there, but I don't see how that franchise goes forward without Joel.
Yeah, look, I definitely do. I think Ellie's a strong enough character to carry the show, and I think you can, it's with smart writing, I think you can bring in another Joel, another lovable character. Actually, Joel was a bit of an arsehole at the beginning, so maybe you could bring in an arsehole and then make him a lovable character.
But he was our asshole.
But he was an arsehole for a reason. He was an arsehole because he lost his family. He lost his daughter. There were reasons behind his decisions. And that's what we lost in The Last of Us 2. There was no reason for him to put himself out there in a dangerous situation. That's just not what Joel would have done. And these are the problems I have with that game.
Yeah, look, it was very interesting. It was kind of poorly written. You need your pivotal moments to be based on rock solid character development. Like, what would this character do? So 110% agree with that, Pete. But the game itself, look, I really enjoyed it. Big Mad Mo has a question in the chat. He said, who is this Henry Cavalier person?
Really?
Henry Cavill.
I think
really.
I think I loved it. Look, Pete did bring up something there. He kind of spoiled our next topic. I'm going to fold this in, and I'll go to the panel and the rest of the guests. Sorry, it's me reading stuff. So there is actually also a God of War series coming. It has been confirmed. It's getting an adaptation on Amazon Prime. They claimed that it follows the events of God of War 2018, so it must be in that middle section between Ragnarok. Hopefully, it's not as bloated. And it's headlined by the Wheel of Time writer and executive producer Raph Judkins. Expanse's Mark Fergus and Hawk Otsby are also on board as writers, and everyone a lot of love for Expanse. And apparently, Corey Barlog is also is in there as a director and executive producer of the show, or assistant director. Was the rumor. That part's a rumor. The actual series is confirmed. So it's a really cool time if you're a video gamer. Cutie, I wanted to go to you. You haven't probably had a chance to play The Last of Us Part 1 just yet, I don't think. But next time you're down, hit me up and I'll definitely lend you the copy for $70. No, I'll definitely lend you. I definitely lend you the remake copy so you can check it out. But you have played God of War, and there is, like Peter said, a lot of stuff coming out. A lot of you got Warhammer 40K, all these IPs being made into movies. A great time for gamers to chill out in front of a TV with some popcorn. What do you think of God of War being made into a series? And The Last of Us Part 3, are you going to catch up on the series and so you can make it to The Last of Us Part 3?
Yes and yes. Look, I think when TV adaptations are created, especially from games, like gonna have to be really careful on who they cast as the main characters, because people like we saw that with Halo. That got a lot of flack, not only for not following the law, but for how they cast Chief. So I really hope they nail it, and if they can do that, then I think it'll be really entertaining, and I'm here for it for sure. People who love these franchises want as much as they can get in them. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see them continue the story and see what happened in between, as long as it hasn't got the bloke drawn. TJ, are you interested in? I know that you're big into Xbox. I actually don't know if you have a PS5, but and I know you like I said, you're big into Xbox. But are you interested in any of the Last of Us 3 coming to PlayStation? Hopefully, it's next gen only. I doubt that it will be, but hopefully. And are you keen to see a God of War series on Amazon Prime?
I'll watch the God of War series when it comes out because I do have Amazon Prime, so I wouldn't mind watching it. I don't own a PlayStation 5 or a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 3. I used to be a big PlayStation fan back in the day, and I grew up playing all their old titles they don't make anymore. Twisted Metal, SOCOM, all their games. And so, but yeah, no, God of War looks good. There's nothing wrong with it. It looks like a great game. I wouldn't take anything from it. And then Last of Us, it looks like a great game. I'm probably gonna wait for it to come on PC because I do have a gaming rig, so I can just wait for it to come out on PC and play it. So, but that shouldn't stop anybody from buying it. I mean, if you like what you liked, then get it. Don't be deterred because it's $70 price point. I mean, and to get a PS5, yeah, no, they gotta be more pro consumer like Xbox for me to even think about even getting a used PlayStation 5.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, we've got a great question in the chat from Big Mad Mo. Again, if you guys want to ask a question, you can super chat, or you can
saying the Henry Cavalier statement,
or you can drop a super chat if you want to. It's up to you. But Big Mad Mo said, aside from what's already coming, what video game would you want to see adapted? Ian, I'll go to you. Are you excited about what's being adapted so far? And is there anything that you would want to see? I mean, we know that Warcraft was one of the best adaptations that's ever been made, and you're a fan of that.
Oh, jeez.
Fantastic movie.
It was a fantastic movie for non-World of Warcraft players. I feel like
I had never played the game before, and I really enjoyed it.
It was
okay.
it was good. It was good. I don't know.
I was waiting. The production value just wasn't there for me.
Yeah.
The cinematics.
That's a great question.
The cinematics are better than what that film was.
Which is a wild thing that they do such a great job with all of their cinematics. All of Blizzard games have some of the, they have the best cinematics
their
in
stuff
gaming.
is gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah. But for them to fall short on the CGI in a Warcraft movie was just really odd.
They would have been better off just creating an animated version.
Yeah. Honestly, I love all of the series. The animated series are the ones that I've actually enjoyed the most. Obviously, Cyberpunk was a massive hit. Castlevania's done really, really well. The Witcher animated series is really good. Witcher series is really good.
Was really, really good as well.
Yeah. Just kind of tapping on that a little bit. Not necessarily like looking for any certain game that I think would make for a great show. I mean, there's a huge list of them out there, but it's one of the best marketing tools that for some odd reason has laid dormant for so long. I mean, I remember for years and years just in complete amazement that like one of the only gaming movies we had was the original Mario Brothers movie.
Look what Edgerunners did for Cyberpunk.
Yeah, exactly.
The amount of people it drew back into that franchise.
Exactly. It's so weird that a lot of these companies aren't diversifying themselves and trying to create this large community network of all these different types of using all these different types of mediums, whether it's mobile, whether it's art, whether it's movies and TV shows or music or anything like that. Yeah, books as well. there's a lot of different shows. There's a lot of different games that could make some really, really good TV shows or movies. And they've just kind of left it on the wayside. I think honestly, the biggest ship that it sailed for some odd reason, and they had so many different movies come out with it, but for some odd reason they just cannot nail it. Is they keep failing with Resident Evil, and I don't know how.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I 110% agree with that.
What was that gasp?
I have two picks. I would like to see Mech Salt be a movie or a show. Mech Salt, the mech game, and I would like to see also State of Decay, because I think they'd be cool adaptations
Yes,
if done right.
yeah, I think so.
With a gamer in charge.
I think
Yeah.
the gasp was because I sent through Fate picks.
Yes, Daddy.
He got one back. That's fine.
I think Big Bad Mo is right.
Admire
Yeah,
those barnacles.
I think I'd like to see Paramount probably do something with Halo. That'd be pretty sweet.
A
You
flick
know
needs
what?
to be made, and just get Yvonne Strakovsky to play Miranda as she does in the game, and I
Yeah.
am there. I am sold. I'll be
But
there.
if we're talking about specific Xbox properties, though, give me if they made an animated, a serious, gritty, gory animated Doom movie or show.
Yeah.
That would everybody
Doom.
would be on that. Doom, or they can do Wolfenstein.
Doom.
Both of those are
They
right
could do-
for
Yeah.
that type of thing.
Yeah, I think Wolfenstein would be
I-
better. They did do a Doom, and it wasn't that
I
good.
had-
I mean,
It
no,
was
I had a bit of a hot
Doom was
take,
bad.
guys.
It was horrible.
not the movie,
Yeah.
not an actual live action. I'm talking about animated. If they did an
I-
animated Doom with all the gore and everything like that, make
Yeah.
it serious,
Fair.
Mhm.
rip
Mhm.
and tear.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that would tear up I think the views personally.
Cutie?
Can I
Well,
just say?
Yeah.
Look, this is probably controversial, but sometimes I think that things shouldn't be made into movies or TV series. I think they're okay just existing as they are.
Really?
Facts.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I do look, if I have an IP that I really need made into a movie, like I have desperately wanted since I was young, it has to be Leisure Suit Larry. I mean, that would just be one of the best.
That would be
I can tell you
hilarious.
right now where to go to see that movie.
I would. Oh my god, that'd be hilarious.
That's got to be one of the best IPs. I think that's just
They
not big. Could you imagine
They
a
need-
Leisure Suit Larry now, though, with the graphics that we have? Oh my god, we could
Oh
do it in
my
VR
God.
as well. You could have like a vibrating
Get on Steam, homie. I'm telling you, it's already
And you know what? Hear you talk about Leisure Suit Larry, and also in the same conversation we're talking about media bias. That game would get reviewed into the ground
man.
so hard.
Oh
man.
my god.
Do you believe how he just put himself on them?
He's sexually assaulting this character. I cannot get over.
Oh my god! Yeah, well, then
Yeah.
we did have a whole thing with teabagging as well. So yeah, I mean, there's
They need to do Fable. They need to do Fable as a show or
Yes.
a movie.
How about they
It's
just
actually
release
done
the new
well.
game first?
I was
TJ,
just
and
about to
then-
say, I'm like, you know what'd be really
I
good?
know,
How about
I
a Fable
know.
game instead?
How about a fucking screenshot? That'd be fucking something.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
weird.
Oh, we talked about it the other day. I'm like, I mean, Sony can rock up with screenshots. Why can't they just rock up with a screenshot? Here's a house.
CGI.
Here's a
You know
character.
what?
Show
If they
no
were,
over the world.
smart, if they were
Yeah.
smart, they would be like, "Oh, an early thing leaked. Oh no!" and like
yes.
go viral.
That's perfect. Doing that like on purpose is a great way to market.
Yeah, if you guys are listening,
at low
seriously,
cost, at a very low
make this
cost.
happen.
Look, we are going to move on from the topic of movies because it is a gaming podcast.
Can
And-
I ask you one thing?
Absolutely.
I gotta ask everybody, what do you think about this? Do you think they should have one dedicated show just on keeping us up with games, like in terms of like the actual development process? I mean, you know, like how they do Forza monthly, right? But it would be
Yeah.
Xbox Game Studios monthly.
I wouldn't
Where
say
they
monthly,
keep you-
because
they
I can
keep you
imagine
up-
it would be tiresome
Well-
to the developers, but definitely
okay,
something
well,
to
not,
highlight.
not monthly, but name
Yeah.
it something else. But basically, like show a piece by
Yeah, I know
piece
what you
of how
mean.
the development process is, and then
Yeah.
if people want to watch it, they can watch it. If they don't want to, then just tune the hell out.
Yeah, look,
mean,
I think
that's on you.
they're working on
But-
stuff like that. They actually put out a
They-
call
they,
for
need to.
they actually
need
put out
to,
a call
'cause
for
we're all speculating.
yeah, they actually put out a call for creators to apply for something over here in Australia called I can't remember, it was Xbox whatever the hell it was.
Rewind. It's called
Rewind.
Xbox Rewind.
Yeah.
And there's two.
Because we're all worried. Yeah.
There's two Australian content creators. They're streamers and things like that.
Absolutely.
And they host the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did apply, and this is how I know that Mark's
You
wife.
applied.
I did know. This is how I know that Mark's
Really?
wife is 110% correct. Is I didn't get the role, and I assume it's got to do with my face. Okay, now
because we're in Perth, that's why. It's because we're in Perth, and they fly like Galaxy, who's the female host. They fly her down every.
Imagine you
filming.
being you being a woman. And with your personality, you'd probably be on that show right now.
I do it every day.
I would fly her down anytime. Anyway, moving on. Hang on. Did I say that backwards? I would put my... Anyway, whatever.
Oh, I've met her, Riskit, just so you know.
She probably doesn't look as good as the photos. That's generally how it goes. Look, moving on to the next topic. Before we do, please hit the like button. Share it out. We go live 7 p.m. EST every Friday. And if you are new here, hit the subscribe button. We go live and get up to this sort of chicanery every single week. This one is for you, cutie. This one is for you.
Okay.
So I wasn't excited about this at all. I was like, meh. It's probably going to be. Look, okay, I'm very reserved when I first see games, and I don't say a whole lot about them. I try to keep my thoughts. But now I'm fucking excited about this game. This game looks epic. I was worried about the weight of combat, but just looking at what they showed, and I'll be telling you what I'm talking about in a minute. Just looking at what they showed the combat in such a way that it does have weight, which is really hard to do with Magic. I'm of course talking about the new Hogwarts Legacy gameplay showcase that they showed. They showed a lot of the open world. They showed you flying on a hippogriff. They showed you the mechanics of flying on a broom. They took you through here's what's really okay. So the customization in this game is epicness. Like you have a room of requirement where you can sort out all your spells. You can train up on different things, and you can make it your own. It's very customizable. I'm a little bit worried about the monetization of that. They did mention that there was a store. So I'm a little bit concerned. We know that PlayStation have got their fingers in it, so it'll probably be $70 for each and every single piece of equipment that you buy.
It's for a new hat.
Yeah. And also they have, if you guys are fans of Harry Potter, and there's a whole section of the community that's not, but if you are a fan of Harry Potter, there's also a movie called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. They have kind of the suitcase in that where he dips into his world where he has all the animals. They have that in the game, which is fucking epic. It's like a huge open area. You can customize that. Then you actually use the animals, like you feed them and you look after them, and they give you, elements or furs or hippo piss or whatever it is that they give you, and then you create potions and stuff out of that. So it also has a lot of utility. It's not just there for no reason. So look, cutie, I was 110% excited for this. I watched the whole thing. I was super hyped. Watched it again. I'm like, man, this game is going to be one of the games of the year. Quickly before I go to you, Bobby Hawk, yes, I forgot your question, but yes, you should definitely play High on Life on Xbox One X. Moneybag97, what do we think of the Crime Boss game? I'm just going to say, I think it'll be a hard miss. But it's got a lot of stars in it, so I'll be playing it. I think it'll end up a Game Pass. Cutie, what did you think?
It looks good, but it looks like Payday.
Yeah.
Redux.
What do you think, Cutie, of the new Hogwarts Legacy gameplay showcase that they showed with just ridiculous amounts of information? Are you worried that they showed too much? Are you worried that this is all it is to the game, or what are your thoughts on it?
I have been super excited for this game since it got announced. I was so excited about this game, and I felt like there was quite a lot of mystery around this, but it's actually the reason why I bought a PlayStation 5. Now, I don't think many people know that about me. Hold on, I'm just plugging in my headphones because they are dying. Oh, sorry. And yeah, so that's actually the main reason why I bought a PS5, because I was like, if this becomes dedicated just to PlayStation, I can't miss it. I played all of the oldest ones, even the PS1 one, way back in the day, with square face Hagrid, total vibes. But the showcase was brilliant, and I feel like it cleared up a lot of misconceptions around the game, because I know the moment people hear about a Harry Potter adapted game, they think, oh, it's going to be that childish, very, just like kid-like magic experience. And this game is not centered around that the kids at all.
No, it's not.
No, and the amount of customization that you can give to your wizard story is actually amazing. Like, it looks beautiful, it feels like it's going to be a great game. And obviously Riskit has mentioned a lot of the customizations, and I just want to dive in. I just want to get it done now. Like, people are saying that Starfield's going to be game of the year. I mean, I don't know. I think this is going to be so much fun. And it's a single player game. It's not online. We can't go into each other's worlds at all.
Absolutely.
Why didn't you cover the fact that you got it like on both consoles? Didn't you?
So obviously there is some exclusive stuff on the PS5 version, and I ordered that version, and I got the collector's edition on Xbox One because the collector's edition didn't come on Xbox Series X. And so I have pre-ordered 3 copies of Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh my god!
Sheesh.
Yeah.
That shows you how much of a super fan she is.
Truly in the chat says he's got a lot to get through, but he said Forspoken, the movement alone is a seller. There's nothing about that game that's a seller, but that
game's trash.
It's a
Sappho actually pre-ordered that game and feels dirty about it. So
Sappho,
hilarious.
Return it.
The minute I heard the voice acting for that game and like their announcement trailers, I was like, this is going to be terrible. That was like CW level, like voice acting. It was so weird.
It was.
So yeah.
Do you,
same thing.
How do
I played
you?
the demo for like an hour and a half. Pure trash.
I mean, those of you that have seen the showcase, do you feel like you're enjoying it more because they have shown more of the dark side of the Wizarding World?
So Mark and I actually on our channel, we have a breakdown of like some of the first footage that they were showing of this, and this has probably been one of the games him and I have been the most excited for coming up. Probably, honestly, even more than Starfield.
Yeah.
Because this is, you don't see this often, but just hearing from the people that are making it and seeing just how much care and attention to details in this is a passion project. This isn't a company that's just making a game because they want to make a Harry Potter game. No, this is a team of people that love Harry Potter that are making the world that they want to play in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so obvious across the customization, across the questing, the combat, all the things that you can do outside of it. Like, it literally is encompassing everything that's in the Harry Potter universe in one game. They're also taking this extra step on top of that, where they realize that their target audience is not like 8 through 12 anymore.
No,
it's they're in their 20s and they're in their 30s, and they want to play as more grown up or adult characters in a more adult themed Harry Potter.
Hell yeah.
I think that's definitely the formula. They're realizing that they're not trying to win new fans. They're trying to meet the wants of the people who have been following this most of their lives.
You might say
that was one of the great things about the movie. The age demographic just moved on with them. So they started with when Harry was quite young, and then you saw him all the way to his, teenage years, and now they're adults and they want a more adult-centered game, and that's what really struck me about this game. And one of the things I was most hesitant about, Cutie, and I think me and you spoke about this, is the reason why I was hesitant is I thought that they were going to go for that more child demographic, and it really seems that they're not. All those Cruciatus curses, the combat looks more adult. It actually looks in depth. The open world looks absolutely beautiful. The amount of customization going from the room of requirement is just amazing. I love the fact that you can not only change change colors to make the room feel however you want to, but you can change the size of it. It feels very Forge-like, if I can say that. I think that I didn't expect that. And although you're going to be playing quite a young character, because you have to, because you're at school, I think that this game has really sold me. And you know what? I've seen enough. It's going to be a day one purchase for me. February 10th, it's coming out for current generation consoles. They've pushed back both
thought
Xbox
it was
One and
March.
PS4, I think, to April. And
Yeah.
I think
And it's coming to
the
DS
Switch
as well.
version is, like coming a lot later, sometime in July. But yeah, get excited, guys. I'm not going to watch anymore. I've seen enough to sell me. This game looks amazing. I think the transition from going from your broom to the ground was done very, very well. I like the fact that you can't just fly around at a very elevated height because there's a height meter to your broom, and although that can be leveled up, I liked it the way they've done that. So yeah, everything about this game just looks just great at the moment.
Yeah, when I first saw it, my initial, this is the honest gut feeling that I had with it, that this game is going to run like boo boo on consoles. When I first saw it,
It's gonna run like what?
No doubt about it. But them delaying the older generation consoles kind of gives me hope that it's not going to run as bad on consoles, so that it won't run so bad on PC. Because that means that they're not trying to make it work for them right away. They're trying to get it optimized for the current gen consoles, instead of just putting the game out and it's going to run at fucking 30 frames, and that's what you get. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm actually really super excited about this game. I almost, unlike Doom, I almost bought the collector's edition, because that fucking book with the floating wand is hot. It is.
It's gonna be amazing.
Sure.
I can't wait.
But yeah, it's this game looks pretty fucking good.
Mm-hmm. And we give love to Unreal Engine though, because Unreal Engine is just the gaming engine of all time. Look at that! Look how beautiful this game looks. I like you, Mark. I kind of felt like it wasn't gonna be so optimized well and everything like that, and I kind of was like, But the more I've seen of it, and like you all pointed out, this newest showing, man, I'm sold completely. I'm not paying $70. I will use my Microsoft Rewards points to take off that $10. But other than that, you guys wouldn't know, but I'm staunchly against $70 games. So I'm fighting it with the best of my abilities by racking up Microsoft Reward points to use to offset it. But yeah, anyway, man, it looks really good. I'm actually really sold on it. I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan or anything like that, but although I saw all of them in theaters. I don't think
you need to be to play this game.
Umbra,
you're a wizard.
It's like Harry Potter Dark Souls. It's gonna be great.
It looks like the Witcher's campaign, like the color palette and everything. That's how I look at it.
Somewhat. I think Witcher is more colorful, but it kind of puts you in there. But this is gorgeous though. I mean, like I said, even a room lighting looks really solid. Yep.
And this on YouTube, it's compressed through a YouTube video stream. So I mean, it looks great.
I believe all the gameplay footage is shown from PlayStation 5.
I don't ever trust when they say that, because they can say that, because they can legally say that it's on a PlayStation 5, but they're using PlayStation 5
JDK.
quote unquote specs on a PC.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh, I see.
So I don't ever trust those
can be used in
ever.
PC,
Yeah, and they also do say that. Look, they say that they it's on a PlayStation or a Series X, and they'll be using the GDK, which is got a stupid amount of overhead on it, so it's not exactly what you would get. And they say, exactly like you said, using the specs. But look, the game just looks absolute fire. I've got some combat coming up on the screen pretty soon to check out, and it just holds a lot of. It just seems weighty, which would be, I think, really difficult to do, but it looks like they've managed to do it. Something that Forspoken lacks, truly, I have to say, is the combat just feels like you're fighting in midair, whereas this looks like it's got some punch to it.
The transitions are seamless, very similar to how the transitions in God of War, from one thing to another, and then obviously the fighting fighting style is, I'm feeling Dark Souls vibes, and I really feel like if anyone goes down the path of making a really evil character, I think that's going to be a really unique experience.
That'll be me.
Yeah.
One
that's
thing
gonna
that
be me.
I thought
I'm
was a
evil.
little strange is the
I'm Slytherin
abracadabra
apparently,
spell
so
is a
Yeah,
one
me
hit
too.
kill, and they're trying to offset that by giving you a timer before you can use it. But I think that might become a little bit too powerful. That was the only thing that I saw that is a little bit off-putting. I get why they did it; they wanted to show it off like it is shown in the books and the movies. But I just thought that
I think you've got to use it like that.
Too powerful.
But if you check that out, Pete, here's the thing. I was looking at that and thinking about it. I thought the same thing, or I was along the same lines. But I don't think they're going to make it. They haven't been too in-depth about it. They're going to make it a one-hit kill on every single character. I think there'll be characters that it won't be a one-hit kill. You can see that they are, when they lose health, they've obviously got hit points, so however many hit points. So I think Cruciatus will have a limit. One thing that I thought was cool with that Cruciatus is you have a spell that can link the damage that you do to one single character to a whole bunch of characters, and then if you Cruciatus that actual character, it kills them all. So yeah, it could be super powerful, Pete. That kind of goes to your point. But I just think it'll be super fun, man. I just was really impressed, really impressed by this showing, and I wasn't excited, and now I'm super fucking excited about this game.
I think they made the right decision. We're saying that this is a single player game and not making it online.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Which for me is super weird that they would have a store to sell cosmetics in for a single player game, because generally you buy cosmetics to show off to everyone that you have those cosmetics. You know what I mean? Yeah,
but I mean they do it with Ubisoft.
Playing the game, I'm not really. I don't mind. They do the same thing on Assassin's Creed, and that's a single player game. So, and I generally never go into the store, so you can avoid it if you want to. I was just going to say the depth of combat is what looks really good to me. So you can make stuff like through various cocktails and then use them in combat. I think that you could get a rock skin, and I just think that that's very Witcher-like. That's going to your point, Sean. So I can definitely getting Witcher vibes from this. I really can't wait to play this game.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
I think it's a big miss that they don't at least make it at least 2-player co-op where it's one other person with you, at least as an option.
Every game needs to be combat co-op. I don't think.
I think they should get this right first and then have a look.
As an option.
No, I think that they can
later
right
down the road.
First. Yeah. And then they'll move into something like that.
I hope they do eventually
the broom flying as a co-op game. I think you might run into the same problems that Gotham ran into, and maybe have to have a tethering system.
No,
not really.
No, I don't.
It can be done.
That was poor usage of the CPU from like the ground up build.
If they make it 2-player co-op, they'll probably just make it that only like one of you is the driver of the broom and you have to share it.
Hey, Ian, you can ride me all day, buddy.
I ain't right.
I knew one of you guys were gonna say that shit.
Look, on that note, we will move on to the last topic.
Penultimate.
For the show. Before we do, guys, please hit that like button, hit that share button, and subscribe if you are new here. Hoof-hearted. Combat looks painfully basic. I disagree.
I think this is a training one. This is a dueling training. This isn't like I don't think this is. No. Yeah, I think this isn't part of the story. This is just an exercise. So I wouldn't stress that this is an exact replication of all of the gameplay. I think there are many unique experiences within this game where you have to fight, and some of them are dueling and dueling clubs like that, and then others are obviously a lot more
dynamic,
natural in the open world.
Absolutely fantastic. Okay, so look, we'll move on to the last topic for the show. It is just a small one, something I wanted to bring up and make clear because there wasn't many details on Armored Core. It looked absolutely awesome. We knew it was coming. We did talk about it earlier in the year. There was a leak where someone actually leaked Bandai Namco's roadmap. And there was a few other things on that. So now that we've definitely got some confirmation on Armored Core, then I would say that roadmap is confirmed. So you can probably trace that down online. I might see if I can find it and link it in the description. I may not, because they say that and then I never do it, but whatever. Look, this looks awesome. And I think a lot of people were worried that this was going to be a very Souls-like experience. But from all accounts from the developers, it's actually not a Souls-like experience at all. It's very based on the old school Armor Cores, quite dynamic, and looks cool. It's just something that I just wanted to quickly talk about, see if anyone's super excited for it. I have played the old Armor Cores, and I really did enjoy them back in the day. It's a bit long in the tooth now, yeah, but still pretty exciting. Are you guys super excited to see what they do with Armor Core?
Because it's a From Software game, definitely, but the combat definitely needs to be changed. I mean, it was basically an on-rails shooter back then, and although you could move in a three-dimensional plane, it was very basic. So, look, I was really hoping for a Dark Souls-esque reimagining of it, especially with the success they've had of Elden Ring.
Why would you want that in a mech
out.
game, though? That's weird, Pete. Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. To be in a mech game, I would be
I want to be like Mech Assault, where it's actually fun.
You mean the hard?
Yeah.
You mean that the like?
Wait, you saying it's not fun in Souls types?
Whoa!
You mean
I heard that.
Mech Assault was
Yeah,
easy.
that difficulty, the difference in movement, the different build types that you can have from a warrior to a mage, those boss fights that are exhilarating, that nothing makes you feel like a Dark Souls game, and I wanted them to bring that From Software flavor to this reimagining of the franchise, which has been, dormant for quite some time, and gaming has moved on considerably since the last Armored Core. They said that that's not going to be the case, so it's a wait and see for me. I'm not sold.
That's fair.
It's been a long time since I played Armored Core. I can't remember it.
I've never played it, but my brother, young Kiryu, he's actually really a big fan of this. Was his game of the show right here, and we haven't seen actual gameplay, so they could actually add elements of Souls types to combat. Pete, I think they will actually. I think it's too stuck in their DNA, so I think they will have elements of that actually in it. But he posted gameplay of Armored Core 4, and I was blown away. I never played the series. I knew about it. I just never played it. And it looks incredibly fun. So I think they'll keep the combat fast paced like that, but I think they will add a bit of like elements of Souls types gameplay into it somehow. I'm not sure how that'll work out, but you don't go to From Software and not expect that type of element, in my opinion.
Yeah, but it's been in their DNA for quite some time. But the old Armor Cores weren't like that. They were fast paced. They weren't as methodical. Combat in Souls games are extremely methodical. And you really you thinking as you're moving, like you're not throwing that last sword slice or attack because you're ready for the move set of the boss. It's very methodical, very chess like. But Armored Core wasn't like that, and I would like to see From Software branch out of their already. I don't want them to stay in a Souls like, just like I don't want Gears of the Coalition to stay in Gears of War in that mechanical way for the rest of their their studio's life. I would like to see them branch out, do something a little bit different, and I think it's cool that they're saying that that's what they're going to do. So I'll go to you, Ian. Ian, do you think? Do you want to see it return to a kind of a Souls-like mech game, or are you ready for something new from Software?
So, I'm definitely on the side of wanting something new from them. But I feel like they've kind of found a signature style when it comes to their Souls games, right? And I don't feel that there's anything wrong with putting that style on everything that they have. I'm not saying that every game needs to be Souls-like, because it does seem like over the last couple of years that kind of tag has popped up on Steam on just about every single game that comes out anymore. People trying to emulate that same success, that feeling of reward when you kill a boss, right? And I'm interested to see what they do. I think probably the biggest thing that stands out is just like the return of like a really large mech series. And mech games have been kind of dead and silent for a long, long time.
I know, right?
I mean, I even off of memory, I couldn't tell you what the last good mech based game was. I know that the Gundam
Hawken,
the Gundam game that came out recently, right?
Yeah, Hawken was a great mech game. It wasn't. It was a good mech game. It wasn't great, but it was pretty good.
The OG is Mech Assault though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if they can find a balance,
Warrior.
If they can find a balance between simulation and arcade, that's the problem with mech games. There's either too sim or it's too arcade. And if they can find a balance in between that to where it's fun, you feel like you can move with it, without your lower your torso going one way, your upper torso is going another way, and you're trying to figure it out. If they can figure that part out, that's why I don't like Mech Warrior in general. It's just a very slow paced simulation type game, to where like Chrome Hounds and Mech Assault and all that stuff, they're more action based. If they can find a perfect blend, I think it could work with a Souls type combat.
Yeah, I would 110% agree. I mean, you could add a little bit of Souls difficulty, but I mean, it's quite difficult to. I think it would be hard to transfer a Souls combat, Souls light to a Mech Warrior. Very different movement sets. I wouldn't imagine that there would be a hell of a lot of melee. That's just not what I mean. I wouldn't build a Mech Warrior to melee shit. I would probably be pretty expensive.
Yeah, and if they went like straight Soul simulation, we'd get another Steel Battalion fucking tabletop controller to run that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing.
I just wanted to touch on that briefly. Mac Brown brought up a pretty good question, actually. Something that I sort of did run into, but forgot to add to the topic. So I'm going to add it. Mac, thank you very much. But before I do, Big Mad Mo. So do you think they will live service it up or have episodes, or do you think it'll be a one-off? I think he was talking about Hogwarts. And I think it's going to be a one-off, dude. I think they'll add DLC to it. Maybe they'll add co-op down the line. I don't think it's going to be a live service. I think that would be a mistake if they did. But, I mean, maybe. You never know. It is the way things are going these days. Backbound asked, did you guys hear about Fable running into problems, just like Halo did with the contractors not knowing the engine? What I heard, Backbound, was that it's not just contractors. It was to do with when they built the studio for Fable, they did take some of the old hats from Playground, and they also hired a whole bunch of new developers. And those developers aren't used to, the new developers that they've hired aren't used to the Forza engine. And so there was a bit of back and forth. Apparently there's been back and forth about them wanting to switch to a new engine, an Unreal 5, for instance, engine, to create the Fable game. So, I mean, this is not the first time we've heard trouble coming out of that studio, but I do have a lot of faith in Playground, their technical knowledge, and that engine as well. I think that maybe it's just, it might be a higher up developer that does have a say, that is kind of pushing back on the Forza Tech engine, because it may be a slow process, bringing everyone up to speed on how that engine runs. And they may just want to get it out the door. Maybe they're not meeting targets. It's very likely that they are behind in development. You're a studio that creates open world racing games. You're not a studio that creates open world RPGs, and this is something new for them. There's going to be problems. They're going to come up against challenges, but I have complete faith in Playground to take on those challenges and come out the other end with a game that we're all going to love. Umbra.
Just to say, this is the same issue Halo had, right? When we were talking about the engine situation. So they're told here, which is odd, by the way, to see this, but they're basically told and forced to work on internal tools, is what they're talking about from Windows Central article, instead of using a third-party software like you said, Risk, Unreal Engine. It makes no sense to me that they wouldn't go with Unreal Engine 5. I do not understand the logic. We all know it's one of the best and easiest engines to work for. You've already been delayed for years now. We haven't seen anything, even a screenshot, as Marco and Ian had pointed out earlier, something. And the fact that they forced them is surprising to me, seeing how Microsoft has been so hands off with everything else. So that's a little shocking that they'll be like, you have to use this and not use Unreal Engine. I do not.
I don't know if there was any. We don't know that for sure. And I think
according to Windows Central, that's what they're saying.
Yeah,
they're saying that they were told they had to use it.
I think the reason for that is because they know that engine. They know it inside out. They know how to get the best of it. I mean, just look at the Forza games.
Yeah, but see, the complaint is becoming because of them having to use the internal when they wanted to use Unreal Engine.
Yeah, that was Jez Corden who came out and said that in a tweet. He said that they are being forced, or the mandate is to use that engine. So that's 110% true. However, Pete, I'm with you there. I just don't see Microsoft doing that. I definitely do not believe Jez Corden. He's extremely reliable, extremely credible. However, when you get information from a source, sometimes it's not always 110% correct. We've seen that before as well. So
I
Well,
do.
you
I
gotta
do, I
remember-
do believe it, and I'll tell you why. One is Playground Games is a proven developer for the Forza Horizon games within that engine, right? So they're already experts at that engine, which is weird that they wouldn't use Unreal with having the coalition being experts in that engine to help them is beyond me. That is another bonehead. There's not enough booty to go around type decision.
When he's talking about not enough booty to go around, he's talking about Matt Booty, Big Mad Mo. Yeah, exactly what what I'm saying really here is that it doesn't seem credible based on the fact that they are the biggest user, Microsoft, in publishing of the Unreal Engine 5 engine itself. So it seems weird. It's possible. Ian, I believe you were going to jump in.
About what now? I feel like we got like sidetracked.
I said to Ian because I thought Ian was talking to Mark, which either one, but I was gonna say because you mentioned the coalition. Well, they're got their hands tied with State of Decay 3. They're actually helping Undead Labs right now with that, and then their own miniature project also. And then also you gotta remember, Eidos Montreal is also helping with Fable. So there's also that too.
Yeah, that's true. That is true, and it could. And Umbra, I understand your point. Like, I get your point that Unreal Engine 5 is Unreal Engine's actually it's taught in development. So you'll be taught C++, C#. You'll be taught Unreal Engine, probably now 5, but it was 4, and you'll also be taught Unity. They're the programming languages and the engines that are actually taught in development over here in Australia. Because I have looked into developing, to be honest, and just went through the units to see what was taught, what I would have to learn. Turns out I'm just way too stupid to learn it. No, it was extremely expensive.
Riskit, too. I mean, I don't know if you mentioned this, but did you mention that they are hiring contractors and they can only work for 18 months? So now they're coming into an engine that's not popular, not familiar to everybody. They only work there for 18 months and then they refresh it.
I hadn't heard that, but it's not actually 18 months. It's 10. It's 10 months.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. You know what? It's going to end up being 25 months, and I'd still be closer.
You're doing it again. You know, it's not 90 mil. It's 80. It's 88. Okay. Christ, do some research.
It's a Washington thing.
But I'm just saying that seems weird. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, bud.
It's the reason why these contractors are such a damn problem for these Xbox studios, regardless, is Washington State has a very, 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 very bad reputation of if you want a contractor in the state of Washington to work in a studio in terms of like developing and stuff, good luck. Yeah, like Riskit said, it's about 10 to maybe if you're lucky 12 months. And honestly, I wish we could vote it out and change it because it hurts Microsoft and then it hurts us as the fans and the consumers because it's like, okay, great, you made the engine or you made the art style, but now it's nobody else can add on to it because they're not as good as you. Because now you have
it's quite a simple fix though. We've talked at nauseum about and it's something that Microsoft has adopted throughout their business because of Washington. You're right, TJ, absolutely. It's quite a simple fix though. Don't hire fucking contractors. And look, I think they're attempting. I think they're attempting to do this. Bring on full-time staff, shift them around. You've got plenty of studios. I'm sure there's plenty of places where you could shift them around to. Have a developer pool who don't sit at any one specific studio. Build a studio that basically shifts around to support. I mean, they're bringing in third-party studios to support. So if that's what they're doing again, and we've already seen how that turned out with Halo, it's probably a misstep. However, a caveat here, something to remember, is that Halo was poorly managed. They put those developers on the engine. Those contractors were on the engine. And when they worked on that engine, and you're talking about, when you build an engine, I think it's round about max, I think you'll get to is 10 people max, like working specifically on the engine. They had all contractors working on that engine. It wasn't like a set dev software engineer that they could go to and say, hey, what the hell's going on with this? So those contractors moved on. They reportedly had to track down the contractors. Now, if you manage the staff correctly and you put them on things that don't necessarily require a specialized knowledge. And I understand that software engineers for engines are hard to find. It is very specialized. If you put them on animations or anything like that, it's probably not going to be a major issue. But if we're hearing about it and saying there's an over-reliance on developers contracting, then it may be being poorly managed and it may be an issue. But again, I do have faith in Playground.
I do too. My only thing would be is that we know that Unreal Engine is proven. We know it's proven to work fast and effective and efficient. I do not understand the process of them going away from Unreal Engine. By the way, we have a brother in 3-bit who, you know, is on Mav's podcast, who is working on Fable, and he specializes in Unreal Engine. I don't understand why they wouldn't go with Unreal Engine, and Microsoft would say, no, you have to use this engine here. I don't understand that process, and it's probably why they've been delayed so incredibly long, why we haven't seen anything at this point, honestly. So I don't know. Hopefully it pays off in the long run, but it just seems confusing that they wouldn't go with that one of the higher end, easier to use engines. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, just to kind of like tag along with this and then also kind of revolve around with them picking up these other studios, we've already seen that Microsoft has had, or Xbox at least has had, a lot of issues with managing their different studios. You know, some flourish, but for the most part, the others seem to fumble quite a lot. And one of the things that makes me the most nervous about the whole ABK thing is now you're going to add even more studios to that umbrella, and you're also adding a company that already has its own management problems and has had many. So I'm really wondering what exactly they're thinking is going to end up happening once they acquire an even larger mess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it could turn out to be a massive disaster. You know, in the background, you never really know what's going on in the background, and sometimes there are things that that crop up and distract hosts.
That wasn't my intention. I know what you're talking about.
Hey, Riskit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they need to buy some support studios? Because, like I said, like they're gonna have to, because if they're having all these problems and they don't want to use contractors because if State Washington screws them over, right? The only other option is buy support studios that can help flush out the development process and actually do it right. Because unless you want to keep on having your fans doubt you, then go ahead and keep on doing that. I guess if you want to do that, you want to go down that road, go ahead. But if you want to do the right thing, either buy some support studios or, yeah, like you said, make one or two. I would make 2 support studios and then just shift them around everywhere so they can just help.
Here's the thing. I'll come back to you. Here's the thing. So PlayStation does do this with their Malaysian studio. They sent their developers over to help. Well, they didn't send them over. They probably helped them remotely. But with Callisto Protocol, they use those developers. That's the PlayStation Malaysia. So they do that. That's something that that major publishers do. However, with the ABK deal, it's very unlikely that they're going to do anything until that deal's done. That publisher has 17 support studios at the moment. So now I'm sure that they will drop a lot of those support studios and then they'll bring them down and having specialized teams. So like PlayStation Malaysia specializes in animation art, and that's their thing. So they can help a lot with animation, with art, and all that sort of thing. So having a specialized studio, specialized teams to do specialized things that teams are having dramas with would be advantageous, I think, for Microsoft. And something, I agree, they will have to do. They need to do this. This is just the way development is. It's a long cycle. It's much more complicated. There's a lot more moving parts, and it just seems like a very smart thing to do. And I was going back to Mark, I believe.
Yeah. So I guess the fundamental problem that I have with that, it's not the oh my god, it's not to that you have to have a support. Like you would bring in a support to help you finish, like, you know, button up, right? Like to me, if you're having to bring in a support group to fix, like almost every studio needs them. We'll exclude Obsidian, probably all of Bethesda Works because they kind of got their shit together. The Coalition, Turn 10, They just do Forza. So, but if you're having to bring in support studios for all of those, that from the beginning was a mismanagement of it, right? Because if you're having to bring in support groups, is that team that you have there now, are they sufficient enough to even be doing what they're doing? You know what I mean? Like there's a reason that you paid. I get help finish button up and stuff, but if they haven't shown anything for these games, so we don't know how far along they are. You know what I mean?
Well, so if you talk about
there's problems,
if you talk about masterpieces or games that are considered masterpieces that you could point to, Naughty Dog had over 2,500 developers on that. There was 7 teams. That's not 100%. It could be 6. There was 7 studios helping develop that game. So it's not an uncommon practice. And I think what TJ's saying, I think what TJ's saying is that to have dedicated studios, which PlayStation does do, to have dedicated studios to come in and assist. It's not because they can't do the job. It's more to assist and speed up the process. You know, no one wants to wait 7 years for a game. So if you can push that process along at any kind of pace with the support studio.
Well, I guess what I was saying is they should have done this earlier. That's what I'm saying. It's like instead of like last minute trying to get people in there to right the ship. If that makes sense.
But they've never had this many studios. This is like happened so quickly. It would be hard to keep a hold of. And like you said,
40 studios.
There's not enough booty to go around.
True.
Yes.
It really didn't need that.
Hey, Riskit.
Photo.
There's lots of booty in this chat.
Hey, Riskit.
Yes.
In the chat, R.L. Stein's mad at me because I took what he said, which I didn't even realize that. But he's talking about support studios also, and he said he made a good point. He said that God of War Ragnarok had 15 studios help make that.
Yeah.
To finish it.
Yeah, it's a standard practice. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean the same goes for most of these big games. It happened with, of course, Last of Us and things like that.
Last of Us. Yep.
Yeah, but I mean to point out though, ABK Call of Duty, absolutely. Once this ABK thing is situated, I hope that they do use those studios to actually have their own games out again. Though Raven Software should not be relegated to a support studio.
And Beanox.
Yeah.
Oh, look, Straight Shot in the chat there as well brought up another good point, but I do want to kind of bring the show to an end soon. But he brought up another great point that we did talk about, Mark and myself, on my new occasional podcast called called 1v1 Me. I may be changing the name. If you've got some ideas for a clever name for a podcast that's along the lines of 1v1 Me, let me know, because I don't want it to sound like we're going to be on there fighting each other. But he said, where the hell are the PC games on Xbox? Use those billions on porting your already licensed games. Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. We talked about this the other day. That would they
need to.
Yeah, that would give more cadence. There's no parallel between Xbox and PC. Xbox gets less, but some games that PC doesn't get, and PC gets an absolute fuckload of games that Xbox doesn't get. So using that as some of the cadence, again, you could bring in support studios that do that generally port. PlayStation does that. Yep. So again, these are things that they can do. Just to basically give the consumers what we're here for, which is games, and give them to us in some sort of cadence. But we'll see what they do. I do want to wrap up the show. Guys, it's been an absolute jam. Loved the show this week. There was a lot of us here. We got a lot of points in, and a lot of interesting stuff happened through the week. Macbound biscuits win every time. Guys in the chat, you're absolutely amazing. We appreciate every single one of you who are returning supporters. And anyone who's new, you guys are awesome. Always welcome. Please hit the like button. If you do have any questions, you'll have to hold them for next week. But type question in the chat, let us know. Guests, Drawn TJ, it was an absolutely fantastic show, mate. Really appreciated you coming on, giving us your takes. Just let the people know where they can find you. And if you do want to find anyone in the show, go down to the description. Their links are all there. Let people know where they can find you, what you'll be playing as you go through the week.
Thank you, Riskit. Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, and I'm on almost everybody's podcasts. I just joined because I have an opinion, but I also like to look at both angles, like, positive and negative. And if you want to find me on Twitter or you want to find me on Xbox, Drawn TJ. For Discord, it's Drawn TJ 450. And it's just regular Drawn TJ for Xbox and for Twitter. And everybody, please hit the like button for Riskit and the whole panel, please. This is a great podcast, and you know what? It doesn't take much to hit the like button and at least subscribe.
That's right. Hit the like button, or we'll hit. No, we won't hit you. Yeah, these guys are messing around the Discord, which is why I have to end this show because it's basically pictures of booties. Since we said not enough booty to go around, it's been going on now for about half an hour. So, Ian, great having you on the show, mate. It's awesome.
Good Lord, I didn't look again until you said that. Pete. You got it absolutely right, brother. Yes, indeed.
It's absolutely awesome to have you on the show, Ian. Thank you for coming on and giving us your takes. It was fantastic to get the good half of Just Gaming's podcast's opinions as well, and to know it's just not complete nuts over there. So fantastic. Let us know where we can find you, what you've been playing. What's the best of the week?
So we have recently changed our YouTube channel name. Our main channel name is Legendary Drops. So if you guys want to find us, that is at Legendary Drops on YouTube.
Link in the description.
And then is it?
It is. Yeah. Link in the description. Oh, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
And then there is. Oh no, that is.
Oh no,
that's actually the wrong one, my friend.
It's definitely not. But
I clicked it.
I'll check it out. I'll check it out.
Anyway, at Legendary Drops on YouTube, and then I am also at Legendary_Drops on Twitter. If you guys ever want, if you guys don't get enough podcasting, we do a gaming only podcasting where it's just games in general, and we do a lot of RPG content as well.
What is your main focus in that podcast?
Our show mostly we revolve around like role playing games and just general gaming news. Not necessarily anything PC focused or console focused. It's a little bit all over the place. We focus more on games than anything else.
Right, that's definitely the way to do it.
Subscribe to you then.
Absolutely. It's great to also have you back on again, Mark. We had an absolute ball. I probably should have got Ian on instead on the last show. Probably better quality of opinions. And I didn't read out your.
I was reading in the chat that you should just change it to the name of the show to How Riskit's Wrong. I think that has a good ring to it.
I'll also add your super chat that you dropped in there. You said these dudes should play WoW. It has controller support. Neanderthals. Shake my head.
It does. Yeah.
I prefer new games, not games from the 1960s. But it was fantastic to have you on the show.
Wow.
Lego graphics and all. You guys are fantastic. You really do have some fantastic takes. We had a great time on 1v1 me, and I'll definitely have you back on for that, and probably Ian as well. Please let the guys know where they can find you, what you'll be playing, and that the best show name would be Riskit's, right?
Yeah, okay. You can catch me on Twitter at JustGamingPod. Like Ian said, Legendary Drops is our main channel. We are about to start a secondary channel where I'll be trying some different stuff on there. Ian does really great essay style videos, so you might go give those a looky-loo.
Are you doing feet pics or what's the?
No, it's just straight starfish. So yeah.
Wow.
You asked for it. You asked the question, you got an answer. You can right now, like I said, we've been playing WoW. We play a little bit of everything, so it is what it is. So that's what I got.
Absolutely. And I will definitely be changing the link in the description because apparently it is actually wrong.
Oh wow.
What was that about? Damn.
Damn.
Man, that did not age well.
It did not.
Damn, cutie. Damn.
Cutie.
What are you trying to do to us?
These guys are just being nuts. I'm going to mute the entire panel except for Cutie. Cutie, another fantastic show. Please stop dropping booty pics in the Discord. Please let everyone know where they can find you, what you'll be up to, what you guys will be playing next week.
Look what he just shared.
I'm now on holidays. So I am going to be diving really deep into a lot of games, including more World of Warcraft, obviously. I'm going to finish off High on Life, and anything else that piques my interest. I do want getting into The Last of Us, and I need to finish the new God of War, and many, many, many things. So yes, it's probably going to seem like on my socials that I have a bit of gaming ADHD. So please bear with me. You can find me streaming on Twitch. I mainly am most active on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me if you just look for DoomCutie. And yeah, so it's such a great show. You guys have a great vibe. Ian, Mark, TJ, thank you for being here. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
So I've just got up on screen the shenanigans that have been going on in the background. I definitely.
Riskit, Max said link to the channel not working.
Oh, yeah, no, it is now. I just saved it. Moving on to JediKnightPete, another great show. We've had a very interesting Discord discussion in the background. And so let people know where they can find you, what you'll be up to, what you'll be playing in the next week.
Just before I do that, Spinal11 had a very important super chat. He says, #Riskit's wrong.
Oh my, Riskit.
Thank you, TJ, for coming on. Been a long time coming, brother. Thank you, Ian, Mark. You guys are awesome. Umbra, Doomy, Riskit. Yeah, awesome as always. Chat, I was laughing the whole day. It was just great. There was so many booty pics in the show in Discord. Very, very difficult to concentrate.
You see
can
mine?
find me at
My one was the
JediKnightPeter
best.
everywhere. Peace out.
Fantastic. And Umbra, another fantastic week. I just didn't want the chat to miss out because, you guys just keep posting these things, trying to keep me distracted. Don't appreciate it.
That's not booty, Umbra. That is not booty.
So moving to Umbra. Look, another fantastic week, another fantastic show. Please let the people know where they can find you, what you're up to, so I can get out of here, so that you clowns can go back to posting booty pics at each other.
Riskit sound like one of those dudes at the auction house. Go on for the 55. Sold. Yeah, guys, thank you all for joining us. Thank you all in the chat for joining us as you always do and supporting us. We really appreciate you. We appreciate our mods, all love the shooter and Gray and everybody else. And big thank you and love for Ian, Mark, and TJ for joining us today, as well as my host and co-host. Yeah, that's really it. You guys can find me on Twitter under Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. And, link up with me. And if, we get along well, we can link up on Xbox and play some games together sometime.
And share some feet
can
pics.
find me. Yeah, no, I don't do that. That's Riskit. That's his kink. But yeah, so I'll probably share like booty pics with you from some random woman. But listen, you all can also find me on Xbox Factor with Boom's podcast on Tuesdays at 12 Eastern. So yeah, also find me there.
Big it a boom. And you guys can find me right here on this channel. You can also find me down in the description. All the links are there for everyone. The link definitely should be working now. So let me know if it's not. It should be. But I mean, I'm obviously editing whilst the show is running, so I might click in after the show. It's been a fantastic week. Again, I just want to thank the chat. You guys are absolutely amazing. I am not talking about the Discord chat. You guys have been absolutely juvenile.
Oh, Pete.
Completely juvenile. And yeah, it's been another fantastic show. Thank you guys for coming. And I'm going to get out of here before the entire channel gets demonetized. All right, bye.
Peace.
I cannot believe you.